Yeah, get a bottle here.
A
Party like a rock
a
star.
bottle.
Well, no, I got a bottle right here, but I'm gonna get a cup for whiskey. Okay.
I mean, I'm
For
gonna,
whiskey.
I gotta nerf
Do I
myself.
have
Okay.
something to break into?
yeah, I'm on that lean today. Is what we're doing. It's good for the soul. I should have picked up some more. Oh, I do have Jolly Ranchers. But you.
Yeah. Probably not, actually. This is apple liquor. I don't know if I really want to drink that. I'll just let it sit there and taunt me.
Testing. Okay. The juice, the south and the north. There you go. Everybody's drinking, but it's okay. I'm leaning, so we'll call it even.
I don't drink much. I don't know if I'm gonna drink. If I do,
I wasn't joking. I got fucking congestion at the wazoo, and they gave me promethazine. It's good times over here.
I'm just drinking water.
Yeah, you're missing out.
There's no way, Gibbs.
Sorry that I'm healthy.
It's good for the soul, bro.
You should drink more water, Gibbs.
Bro, I tell you what, I drink a lot of water. All I do is drink water.
Yeah, because why? Tea is made with water.
Well, I don't even drink sweet tea. I drink unsweet tea. I just want caffeine and water. We like uppers.
I'm pretty sure caffeine is a dehydrator.
Well, that's why I just drink more water.
So you're counteracting the fact that you're hydrating by the caffeine, which means you need to drink.
Well, so that I just double up the water. What do you mean? All I drink
is water.
You really are the Dionysus of the internet, aren't you, Gibbs?
I really am. And I do drink a lot of water. Water's like my favorite thing to drink.
What are you drinking right now?
Water.
Good boy.
I think it's Sprite. I think it's Sprite.
Jolly Ranchers, and drugs, Gibbs. I think it's
I
drugs.
wish it was Sprite. It is drugs, but it wasn't no Jolly Rancher. I don't know Sprite. We got the Black Saw Dictionary here ready for you too. No, we're no drinking alcohol. We're saving the drinking alcohol till next week because it's the birthday.
I missed the I missed the Scott and Average Debate Enjoyer debate. How was that?
That's good. We had Ali and Lethe be judges.
What was the split?
And they, unanimous Scott. And they were both, before Scott got in there, they said basically what Temple said. They were like, all right, if that any and all possible, we want you to win. Yeah. And then they both voted against him. I'm like, damn, that's what we call an ass whipping. You know?
Hey, look, man, it happens, right? It happens.
Nah.
Everyone should vote with their heart, okay? Unless it's for an actual thing that matters, like a political office, then you should vote according to what I tell you. Then
amen. Vote for me, bitches. What was it Prime said the other day? He was like, yeah, Gibbs is good because obviously, because we can.
Well, I wouldn't vote for you for anything involving the border. I would vote for you for like.
Listen, I would get the border fixed day one. That shit would be fixed.
There's a couple. You've said drone strike too many times. That's the problem.
Don't worry about it. Like, listen, we can come to some kind of compromise. Maybe it's like electric nets, but instead of like missiles. You sent me a thesis on the entire debate, okay? No theses, please.
Pentuple, a gentleman in my chat is asking me to tell you to mod him. Okay, so.
Is it Landon? You just ban him, honestly. Just ban him from your channel.
Why? He didn't do anything wrong to me.
No, I know, but you wouldn't lose anything. I'm just letting you know.
Damn, that is
Landon,
rough.
you see this love?
Landon, it is Landon, by the way.
Landon's like your biggest
I know he's VIP in mine, and all he does is ask for a mod.
Hey, let me tell you something.
It's because It's because
that's all he does.
It's because he wants to become closer to the community. Okay.
Landon is based.
There you go. Hey, building bridges. 5 seconds, and Lactoid already has many people friends.
Bridges that Gibbs can drone strike. That's what we want.
Landon, you would love Lactoid streams. You should stay over there. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I like you, Landon. You're a good guy. A good kid. I think he's like 16.
Hey, Landon, I would do that for you if here's this out. You help make me some more money on my bottom line. I don't see any money, so money talks, bullshit walks.
That's wrong.
Have you ever heard any of my shills, Macdroid? What did I hit one of my shills? I was on the other day. We had a debate panel, and I was like, "Oh, let me give a shameless shill. Give all your favorite shooters money now, because we're greedy bastards and we want it." And then moving on. That was my shill.
Sparky's the king of the grift.
Yeah.
Have you heard Sparky's grift spiel?
I haven't.
It's legendary.
Shy does the like AI voice.
Oh, like Siri?
Yeah, you've done the AI voice a few times with the shills.
Oh yeah, the Twitch sub prime whatever. Yeah, I read those for Gibbs sometimes.
So you know how Argentina is like the libertarian capital of the world right now?
Hell yeah. Malay
I
is
saw-
a based man.
You know what that also means though is some of these other groups that are getting more power. I saw a thing and it was somebody who's doing it. It was a youth streamer going to the most Nazi village in the world, and it was all Argentine and former Nazis kids in like a little chalet of like in the fucking mountains or wherever they got over there. And they were like, "Yeah, we love whatever his name is because they don't ever check on us no more." I was like, "Oh no."
I'm surprised they did. Like I've seen some videos out of India that are pretty disturbing, but you know.
India.
Yeah. Apparently, there are a lot of big fans of Hitler.
In India?
Yeah,
In India.
According to some TikToks, which is now banned, apparently. TikToks that I seen. Isn't that
well,
wild?
see, I think
TikTok's gone.
I think Trump is going to save it. It's going to be Trump save TikTok.
Well, the ban is set to go into effect on Sunday, and he becomes inaugurated on Monday, meaning there will be at least some time which TikTok is banned.
Well, the Biden says he's told the people not to enforce anything on it and let it all go up to the Trump team. I kind of think Biden is like, fuck the Dems, and he's just like, we're going to hand everything off to Trump.
I think he should ban it. The reaction from the Chinese on this proves that it's like
Hilarious.
fucking like intelligence. The whole thing's an intelligence operation.
Well, my favorite is the regular people from China. They're like saying racist shit. Like, you're racist. Like, yes, we are.
That's pretty base, yeah. All right.
I'm like, okay.
We have to ban it, otherwise they're just never gonna ever divest, which is the whole point. We just like danced for a year about this divestment. And we're like, nah, just kidding. And they're like, yeah, we knew you were bluffing. We own your senators. Shut the fuck up. Sit down. Like, what is this?
Kick offered to buy it. Mr. Beast offered to buy it.
Mr. Beast offered to buy TikTok.
Yeah, he's already. He said he and like
Ridiculous.
4 other billionaires got together and.
When does Mr. Beast end? When does his career just end?
Whenever he gets caught diddling kids with that other guy. That's what's coming. You know what happened at the Beast games? They like.
I
had
make
it
no
and-
I do not join this allegation for legal purposes.
Listen, I saw this. They had a thing, and the rumor is now that Chris, whatever person, I don't know, he, she, they, them, whatever, was there in disguise. Like, yeah, and so like they were like, oh, yeah. So like they were like,
like them.
this person with a hoodie, and then like I guess someone caught them like talking outside, and I was like, so they didn't separate.
There's some bad shit coming out from that person.
Yeah,
Chris person,
he's
yeah.
bad. He's doomed. Stop
Well-
implicating. Yeah, we don't want Lactoid to get sued for defamation.
By the way, my
So
favorite
confirmed. No, I'm just kidding.
my favorite way to avoid allegations of transphobia is like if you're not sure what somebody's gender is, just say their name in place of any kind of pronoun.
I just make up a name.
Oh, I'm sure. Why?
Yeah. I'm just.
How often is this happening to you guys?
Every
That
day.
you
These days on the internet, we're relatively
Oh.
often.
are on the internet, I
No.
guess.
Like I have every time I go out, somebody comes up to me and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, Joe?" And they're like, "Joe, I'm Jolie." I'm like, all right, that's why I called you Joe. Yeah.
Joe is a very fine short name for Jolene.
Yeah.
Jolene.
Exactly.
That's a great
Hey,
song.
hey, killer. Good to see you again.
That's also a good song.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not that I've done these once or twice.
yeah. Yeah.
I also love that the neo pronouns guy got destroyed when he came out trying to be a crusader on that Star Wars. ZZ Zim.
Well, is Ziz's M from Star Wars?
Yeah, so he wrote the Aftermath trilogy, the worst trilogy ever written in fucking Star Wars history, and literally has stuff like the Tie Fighter flew overhead and the laser Tie Fighter flew pew pew pew, and I was like, wow, this is award-winning work that this guy wrote. Anyway, he has this character that is in chapters not related to the rest of the book. He has like chapters where they're dedicated to the rest of the galaxy, and one of them is this insectoid alien queen that takes over a superstar destroyer somehow and becomes a pirate rescuing like displaced children, and they're all like non-binary, and the alien queen goes by non-binary pronouns, ze, they, them. I'm like, and he's like, yeah, these are neo pronouns. I wanted them codified in the English language so that anybody can use it. And then like Chuck Wendig was the guy who's like, if you're calling me if you don't like my books, you're a fascist bigot. And I was like, no, it's just because they suck.
I've met several trans people. I just still haven't met someone who goes by the Z's or nonsense. I feel like
I've
it's
met a
hopefully
couple of
still
AMs.
restrained to the internet.
I met a couple
Yeah?
of AMs, but never
I've
Z's
seen a
them.
couple, like in part. Like I walk by. Yeah, you know the haircut, the they them haircut.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
uniform.
I mean, it's like they say like getting just the right ear pierced or gay is that's the thing. It's like
Oh,
right.
the
If you
gay
get just the
gay
right ear. Yeah, it's like when girls like cut their hair straight across right here, those short ugly bangs. It's 100% like
There's cultural
that's
signals. I understand. Yeah.
it's a gender. It's such a bad haircut that it's a gender.
I really wish that I didn't care about my hair right now. Otherwise, I would just go take a pair of scissors and cut my fucking bangs right now.
That's what it looks like. That's literally what the haircut looks like. It looks
it's
like
funny
people
because,
just came to their breaking point and were like, "Fuck." They were definitely crying. You don't cut your hair like that without crying. Sorry,
I
go
think
ahead.
it's hilarious. They people do this shit to like look unique or look different, and like instead it's turning this like uniform where everybody looks the same, and you're like, oh, blue hair, chopped haircut.
Huh?
Yeah, you see that? You like
What'd
that?
you just? What'd
Yeah,
you just
like that?
say?
You like how you sold the chai as we went here?
Huh?
Look, I think
First thing you say, you're targeting me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you specifically. You're the they them.
no, I think people with blue hair are great, especially when they're judging a debate that I'm about to have. I think they're fantastic people.
Oh, awesome.
That's the wrong
Fucking
tactic.
suck up, pussy bitch.
Sadie has blue hair.
Who?
She doesn't respond to compliments very well.
Sadie, my mom.
Okay,
Oh.
so like on the argument of that, I feel like it could be done right, but only in like a Victorian Gothic type of way, and you really have to commit to it. But
There's
I
like
really
2 girls
appreciate
ever that
those.
have pulled it off.
But
I appreciate the fuck out of those.
Oh, baddies.
Wait, we're talking about the bangs or the blue hair?
Like the blue
Bangs.
hair. Like,
Oh, yeah, I was talking about bangs.
If Ico doesn't get here, who am I debating on welfare?
me.
All right.
Nice.
Except I'm going to debate for welfare.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
It's going to be fun. Don't worry. I got some good welfare things.
Wait, so who's the other judge?
Pentuple.
Pentuple? Yo, you're here on time. I appreciate you.
Let's go. This is the one thing I can definitely do is always be on time.
Ico is the other debater.
Yeah, Ico told me he was going to be like 10 minutes late.
I'm excited.
He like
I'm a neutral debater.
He gets off
Judger.
like 15, so he's like, I gotta drive. Mike Jones.
Three.
Well, this is fucking the jams, bro. Switch up the jams though. Also, if y'all haven't watched Space King yet, y'all need to go watch the Space King episode. It's amazing. Very funny. Flash Kids did it again. Almost one devil. Devil. Oh, I got one for y'all. Oh, what is third Saturday? Here we go. Yeah, get some Spanish music going. I get hyped. Tres cuatro. Red Note. It's Red Note. Is what you're talking about, Outcast.
Don't. That's the thing, right? It's like TikTok's getting banned, and so now they're like, hey, go to the other Chinese propaganda app, and all the Zoomers are like, yeah, that's a good idea, and they're doing it, and they're learning Chinese, and they're saying, yeah, the Chinese were right, Americans are awful.
They're,
It's
wait,
like,
they're
wow.
learning Chinese already?
Some of them, I've seen them. Some of them, yeah, they're like,
And then the Chinese are like, send back your American whores. And the men are like, why would we ever stay with our women when we can have women like this? Which is great because the men here are like, y'all keep them. We want the Chinese women.
it's the one weakness of white men. Okay.
The one weakness, we have a few weaknesses.
That's
That's how they got Eric Swalwell.
It's like meth and yeah, Eric Swalwell.
Meth is one of them. Maybe for like poor white men, but none of us here are poor, are you?
Man, we had a topic change, I see.
Yeah, Cal, can you give us the lowdown on what you think about white men's weaknesses are and why is it meth
And Asian women.
and Asian women?
Why is it meth? I don't know
Yeah.
why. Well, I mean, I think just geographically where it came from, I guess, and how it entered the culture. Like, because didn't it come from like the Appalachians and stuff? So it was going to be.
I think the fact that an essential ingredient is like farming materials probably has like something to do with it.
He brought his trophy. Where's your trophy?
This is the trophy design that I made like years ago when I ran the SMU tournament. And I don't think anyone else did debate trophies like this. It's this is the third place one. The first place one was really big, and we gave out maybe 70 of these, because of all the different events. And it's like I think it's the best trophy of any debate tournament, around here at least. We're thinking about starting up a new tournament, so we'll see.
Yes, tournament's good.
Yeah.
On that note, let's get this started. Everybody, welcome to another episode of the Debate Championship Series. We got Lactoid versus iCal in our semifinal match. Let me just pull this up. We're going to share this on screen here. Hopefully, we won't share the wrong screen because that could be bad. Here we go. And we will, we don't listen. Don't worry about why it'd be bad. It's better to wonder. But we have this going down. Look, we got iCal and Lactoid in the other semifinal match. Winner goes against Fabian Liberty in the finals here. It's going to be exciting stuff. All right. So I'm your host, Admiral Gibbs. As y'all know, this is everybody. We'll give everybody some intros, and we'll go from there. Tell everybody who our wonderful judges are, and all that good jazz. We'll start with our first judge, Chai. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, why you're here, sing a song, all that good stuff.
I'm not gonna sing a song, but hi, I'm Chai. I always bail on Gibbs when he asks me to do things, so this is me finally doing it. I play games on stream. I like horror and anime. I am a Navy veteran. I went to school for photography. I don't really give a fuck about politics, but I'm gonna care about the way that you debate, so I'm gonna listen to what you say, but I'm also gonna think about why you said it that way and why you didn't say it another way and what else could you have done better? So I don't care about your facts at all. Just a warning.
Fantastic. That's an interesting debate, judging style. Glad that we have that out of the way. Let's go to our next judge, Pentuple.
I'm Pentuple. I'm a Twitch streamer and a lawyer, and I stream and do stuff. I play baseball on stream sometimes. So
Fantastic. That's what I like to hear. And let's go to our first contestant here in the right corner. We have Lactoid TV.
What's up, guys? I'm Lactoid. You find me on Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube.
Fantastic, fantastic. Actually represents conservatism most time. Doesn't have to burn his values.
Stop,
like other
Gibbs,
consumers we
motherfucker.
know, other streamers we know that just throw their money away. But I can't
Yo.
mention any names since they called my businesses of the week trying to get info on me. All right, moving on to iCal Rich. Tell us who you are, what you do while you're here.
Yeah, debate coach out of Texas. Didn't really. I'm going to be a really bad example of one today, though, because I didn't prep for this topic at all. I kept thinking I was going to set aside some time, and then just it got eaten up by students like every single time. So I'm just flying by the seat of my pants here. On I don't know, anywhere where I'm on social media, it's spelled just like this, iCal Rich.
Fantastic. It's in the chat. Y'all didn't know. We have it. I know y'all can see the names on here. All right. Without further ado, all right, let me introduce this topic here. Who's the last person I sent to? I think it was Chai. All right, cool. And then we'll flip a coin. See who goes first. I guess unless you have something ready to go already.
We can flip a coin.
Okay, fantastic. The United States welfare budget totaled $1.101 trillion in fiscal year 2023, or 18% of all federal outlays, with about 100 million Americans on some sort of welfare. Resolved is providing large amounts of governmental assistance to this many Americans, something the government should do. That's the topic. Now, let's go to my handy dandy screen over here. We're going to flip a coin. Hi, Cal. Heads or tails?
Tails.
Okay, let's flip the coin. It is tails. You want to go first or you want to defer?
I will defer.
All right, Lactoids, you're going
'Cause
first.
I didn't prep.
Fair enough. All right, so off the races. You got 7 minutes as always for your intro, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, Gibbs, thank you so much for hosting this, and thank you to my debate opponent, and thank you to the judges for taking time out of your Friday night to come listen to me ramble about all sorts of things that are libertarian. I'm going to start my intro here with a quote. The lessons of history, confirmed by the evidence immediately before me, show conclusively that the continued dependence upon relief induces a spiritual and moral disintegration fundamentally destructive to the national fiber. To dole out relief in this way is to administer a narcotic, a subtle destroyer of the human spirit. FDR said that quote. Strange, right? Why would FDR, the king of expansion of the U.S. government, say this? And I think it's because when it comes to welfare, he's expressing something that I think all of us can see, which is this shit gets out of control very quickly. Like most temporary government programs, there's nothing more permanent. There's nothing more permanent than the ever-increasing rise of welfare and the ever-increasing size of the U.S. government and the administrative state. And that's exactly what we're seeing. I'm going to attack welfare on a couple different axes here. I'm going to start by saying that the way welfare is in how the U.S. administers it is bad. I think that even if you accept some of the underlying tenets justifying welfare, the expansion and the size of it in the U.S. is bad, right? Which is the topic. But I'm going to go even further and argue that the concept of welfare is also bad. So let's start with some of the. Let's just start right from the beginning as to addressing the topic put before us. 100 million Americans, almost a third of Americans are getting welfare of some sort. I don't see how someone can make the argument here that this is truly just for the destitute. Our poverty rate is not this. The amount of people living on the street is not this. It's not the people that would die otherwise or would suffer tremendously otherwise that are getting this money. It's 100 million Americans. That it's people that can otherwise do okay, and yet they're getting this money. Why? Because of the political influence and the expansion of welfare dependency within the United States. Of course you want to vote yourself more welfare. Of course you want to vote yourself more of the fruits of somebody else's labor, and that's exactly what we're seeing. As to specific government programs that we're seeing, there's a lot of issues, right? The biggest welfare system, and the one most defended by Democrats and Republicans, is Social Security. Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. It's a Ponzi scheme that is supported by the people who have already paid in. There has been reviews done. One review by the St. Louis Federal Reserve indicated that more than 95% of people who had paid into Social Security, if they took that money and they paid it into stocks, they would have made more money. They would have had more money for retirement. And yet the government says, no, no, no. You don't get to make more money. You have to come with us. You have to do our program. 95%, more than 95% of Americans would have made more money. More than half would have made more money in government bonds, which are an incredibly risk-adverse investment vehicle. So Social Security is inefficient. Social Security is ineffective. It is bad compared to almost any other retirement system in the US and around the world. There's a reason why like countries like Singapore, for example, they don't do this. They do like an forced investment program, which I have other issues with, but it's better than Social Security on an efficiency basis. You have Norway, which is a sovereign wealth fund, which I disagree with, but it's better than Social Security on an efficiency basis. Social Security and other pay-go systems are inefficient. They take money from people and they don't give you the returns you otherwise could get. More so, they dictate when you get to spend your money. What if I want to spend my money now as opposed to when I'm old? Well, the government says no. The government says we're going to take this and you don't get it. You only get it back if you live this long. What if you happen to die? Shit out of luck. What if you don't want to spend money when you get older? Shit out of luck. The government says otherwise. That's a problem. Other forms of welfare include food stamps, SNAP, right? That's the one that also seems easily defensible. But the US can't seem to run that correctly either. SNAP, people who receive SNAP, households that receive SNAP, disproportionately spend money on soda, on junk food, chips, candy, chocolate, etc. Things that are not nutritious. SNAP is a supplemental nutritional assistance program. That's what it's meant to be. Yet, that is not what it's used for. It's disproportionately used for soda. It's disproportionately used for junk food. And so we are contributing to the obesity epidemic, contributing to the poisoning of our country using this money that is supposedly it's supposed to go to nutrition. Why? Because of lobbying money from General Mills and other major corporations. And Pell Grants. Well, of course, poor students going to college, this is a good idea, until you find out that if you go to college, you happen to have disproportionately high income earning potential. In fact, the vast majority of student debt in this country is held by the top 2 quintiles of income earners. So why is it that we're giving this money for free to people who will be able to pay it back? That should be in the form of loans. When you look at each individual welfare program, you realize there's a whole bunch of problems. There's also the problem of the welfare cliff, where according to one estimate, up to 30% of welfare recipients avoid earning more money, avoid being more productive in order to prevent the stoppage of welfare benefits that they're receiving, discouraging participation in the US economy. All of this is a major problem. I'm going to just spend the last minute here to talk a little bit about the problem with welfare generally. I mean, and this is going to sound like an extreme position, right? And you don't have to come here all the way with me, because the question of the prompt is not all welfare being bad. It's, has the expansion of welfare been wrong? Is it a problem that a third of the country's on it? Does the US do welfare well? It doesn't. But welfare in general starts with the assumption that other people are entitled to the fruits of your labor. It starts with the assumption that when you work, somebody else who didn't do that work deserves something from you. That presumption is incorrect. That presumption forms the basis of slavery. That presumption forms the basis of all things coercive, and it's wrong.
Is that it?
That's it. Thanks.
Perfect. All right, you got about 30 seconds spare. Good timing. All right. Gal, take us away.
Okay. So I didn't prep. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say what I generally had an idea to say if I was going to prep. And then I'm just going to say a few things in response. I don't even know if I'm going to hit the 7-minute mark or not. But I'm looking more forward to the back and forth anyway. So, but here's the thing. I am debating somebody who used to be known as an anti-communist. Like that branding was all over to everything. And I was kind of hoping to maybe invoke a little bit of the old lactoid when it comes to this, because if I don't want to go too much into the weeds on the history of this, but in the early 20th century, we had 2 choices as to where to go. go. Countries around the world had two different choices. Communist revolutions were taking place all over the country, and the United States had its own Great Depression to deal with that was causing the proletariat to rise up like they had in other countries. And people on both sides of the political aisle, because Democrat and Republican didn't mean the same things back then as they did today. Both parties had a left wing and a conservative wing, left and right wings in both parties, and both were scared of what was happening, starting to happen in Europe, already was happening in Russia, would later then happen in China and Cambodia, and it seemed to be everywhere. And the problem was, according to the theory, that the proletariat that had to deal with the working conditions that they had, terrible working conditions and no safety nets, were going to rise up. And so the capitalists said to FDR, especially after once the Depression had kicked off and they started looking at world events, we've got to do something to save capitalism. So we had a choice. We could either go the Marxist route, or we could mollify the proletariat by making sure that they had safety nets that would stop them from thinking that a revolution would be a better outcome than what they were getting from the system. And as a result, we had the New Deal. And who was the biggest opponent of the New Deal in those days? It wasn't the Republican Party, although, yeah, they were, because they're on the other side of things and they kind of had to. But it was the Communist Party and the Socialists, the Marxists generally in the United States, who railed against the New Deal because it would mollify the proletariat and stop the Glorious Revolution from happening. And as a result, let's go through some of the things that Lactoid talked about. Social Security. Since it started, elderly poverty has dropped by 40% because of that system. And so when people saw that their parents and their grandparents were being taken care of, there was less reason to join this revolution. I think with food stamps, I think, that sort of kicks in later. But when it does, it starts... I think Lactoid does have a point that sometimes things get run poorly. I don't think that means welfare is inherently bad. I think it just means we need reform in the system. If you want to make it so that sodas aren't something that you can buy with SNAP, I think that's a fine reform. I don't have a problem with that. But that doesn't mean I would throw out the baby with the bathwater. Pell Grants. This was an amazing one to me because when Lactoid says, it goes to that the people who have all of this debt are in the top 2%, that tells me that it's working. It tells me that people who accepted these loans wound up in careers that paid them a lot and made it so that going to college was actually worth it. It's just that they couldn't afford if they couldn't afford the tuition at the time, we time shifted that burden so that future them who were in the top 2% of earners could then pay back those loans at reasonable interest rates instead of having to do it at a time when they maybe couldn't even feed themselves if they had to make that choice at the time that they were going. So I think time shifting tuition is a really great idea. And I think I'm really glad that they wind up in the top 2% when they make that choice. I'd say the same thing with the avoidance issue about how how people avoid getting higher incomes. Like, if that's a problem, I think that means that you have to do reform. I don't think it means that you do away with welfare as a concept, right? But I think that what you can do is say, as your income gradually rises, then what you get from welfare would gradually fall. And in fact, we've been moving in that direction. That kind of reform started in the 90s under Clinton, working with Gingrich to reduce like these sort of cash welfare that you used to get. And now the welfare is really more sort of means tested, very specific benefits that you get. You can't, the welfare queens of the 80s are no longer a reality because of the way that we've shifted that. But I think the most important part is going to be Lactoid's third point, which is that the concept of welfare is bad. And to me, that's where my initial argument is going to apply the most, because I don't see in the 20th century, I don't see any countries that didn't follow one of these two models. They either had a welfare state or they had a communist revolution. And myself, I'm an anti-communist. So, I'm not going to support a system that helps the other side.
That's pretty good. That's right at 6 minutes. So,
Oh, great.
very good. Very good. All right. Sick 'em, boys.
All right, just a couple responses. So Pell Grants, those aren't loans; those are just free money. If it was a loan system in which,
Oh, no, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Right.
you
Well, I
take out
mean, loans exist too, but I would argue that with Pell Grants, it's the same thing. If you get a Pell Grant and you end up you end getting a pretty good job.
statistically, you're more likely to make more money. But the point I'm making is that cost.
And making more money is a virtue, right?
Sure, right,
That's
right.
what you've always said.
Yeah. Making more money is good, right? But if you get that free money with Pell Grants, for example, that means that is being funded not just from your money; it's being funded from other people. Yeah. Some people who didn't go to college perhaps aren't getting that benefit, so you are disproportionately benefiting. When it comes to a loan, you pay that back, right? So you are incurring the cost, and then you're paying it back with the benefit that you receive. Pell Grants are welfare. Student loans are not. Well, they're need-based. They are, but why can't they just be loans?
We can talk about that in a minute, but I just want to point out that Pell Grants are need-based. So these people are not in the top 2% when they get the grant. So what you're telling me is that Pell Grants are overwhelmingly successful because people who got it based on economic need end up having a life without economic need later on. So I think that's great.
Well, just to clarify, what I'm saying is that the quintiles of like student loans held, that's among all students, not just Pell Grant recipients. When you graduate from college, you're more likely to make more money.
Because you were talking about debt, student debt.
Yes,
people
student
with
debt.
High student debt were in the top 2%.
Top two quintiles, so the top 40%. So the idea is that if you make...
I'm sorry, I misread your... Yeah, okay, top 2 quintiles, so top 20%. I got you.
Yeah, so if you go to college, you're going to make a lot more money. And that's fine, right? I got no problem with that. Or statistically, you're more likely to make a lot more money. But there's some people who make a lot of money that don't get that, use that service, that don't get that benefit. And perhaps they do something else. Perhaps they're more entrepreneurial. Perhaps they work at a blue collar job, do welding all day. That can be relatively, that can make a lot of money. And they're not using the same amount of resources that somebody who goes to college is using. And that if you go to, I went to college, I went to law school. That took a lot of expense for sure.
Yeah.
But that's something that I was responsible for, right? That I was responsible for. And that's how it should be, because now I get the benefit from that. I'm making the money that I'm able to then use to pay back the cost that I incurred. So that's the argument for Pell Grants, because when it comes to like student loans and like college specifically, it's strange because it actually seems to be more targeted towards high income earners as opposed to low income earners.
Can I ask a question? Because just for the lay person, because I'm confused as fuck. Let's get just a clarification on the specific.
Perhaps it was that lean.
Yeah, the lean. Hey, listen, I'm not coughing though, so the doctor knew what he was doing. I gotta say, big fan. Doctors, by the way, get health insurance. They'll take care of you. All right, moving on.
For health insurance. Go ahead.
Yeah, A for health insurance that we pay for privately. Anyway, sorry. We're not debating that today. Listen. So here's my question, Toy or iCal, either one of y'all. What's the substantive difference, like with the Pell Grant? Like, is like that what you're basically just going through right there? Like,
I can make it really simple because I do this every year. I get these things for students every year, so Pell Grants are different than there's another kind of grant that you can get to from the federal government. There's two of them, but they're just all it is the government pays for part of your tuition and you don't have to pay it back, and that's needs based, which means you have to be low income in order to qualify for that, which means you're not going into debt in order to get that, as opposed to Perkins loans and Stafford loans, which are just loans that are loaned to students at a low interest rate and often get taken to zero interest rate during certain years, like the COVID years, for instance. They went to 0%. That's it. That's all there are. There's just those two things.
Right, and so they are, and so the Pell Grant specifically, my argument is that is considered generally part of welfare. It would make more sense for that to simply be included with loans. Are you raising your hand just out of curiosity? Okay, the judge can. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you have a question.
I got the next one. Okay, keep going.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, let me just respond to that real quick, because when I look at that top 2 quintile figure that you're giving me, what that tells me that both Pell Grants and student loans are converting poor people into wealthier people. That's what they're doing. So I agree with you that there are a lot of people that
no colleges.
Huh?
Colleges. That's the point I'm making. Colleges. I'm not shitting on college. I'm saying that if you're going to
Right.
go and use the service that you're then going to use to become rich, it would make sense for you to retroactively pay for that service as opposed to making other people pay for that service, perhaps people who make less than you or perhaps people who haven't used that service.
Okay, but the statistic that you gave, I mean, I've set this up for people. The amount of money that you get from the federal government, you get way more in loans than you get in grants. You just do. So a lot of that
Usually.
is being paid
Yeah,
back.
but then you pay it back.
Sure.
When
If
you make that
wanna
more
say
money.
if you want to say that the form of welfare that we're giving should be more sustainable so that we can change some of these things from grants to loans, I'm not necessarily against that because of the dramatic increase in prosperity that we get when people take advantage of this welfare state. I'm for doing that, and I'm for expanding the franchise. So give me way more loans, and we can than what we would have. I would make that trade if we could get more people qualified for loans. I would make that trade.
and just to be
because
clear,
of the
student
way
loans
it
aren't
converts
considered.
people into the top 2 quintiles.
That's fine. I got no problem with people taking out loans, right? But loans are not generally considered part of welfare. Welfare is a handout.
Well,
It's
but
a-
no,
you
they
get-
are
you
because it's
get this money
government
for free.
subsidized. This is how we manage the interest rates so that you don't get like screwed by the banks. Is that they're guaranteed loans, guaranteed by the government,
There's
and
private
then
loans.
if people like don't graduate, they don't pay back their loans and stuff like that, the government absorbs the cost. So that would make loans welfare.
Wait. I'm not in favor of that. I'm not in favor of the government absorbing the cost of the loan. I'm fine
Well,
with
you can't-
loans. I'm fine with people
you
taking
can't-
loans in order to
You
get a
can't do it
service.
otherwise. Have you ever looked at a private, non-subsidized loan? Would you
Hold on,
ever
hold on.
take
Let
one?
me-
I have
let me
looked at them. I know plenty of
pause
people who've
y'all real
taken
quick.
them.
Let me pause y'all because we're getting
Yeah.
lost in the sauce on the loans here. Did you have a question, Chai?
I can move it to a different topic.
Do you think there is any bias in the way that the government aids?
Yes, but they're across a lot of different spectrums. So I mean, it would take me a long time to go through where that bias exists, but that bias is everywhere. One of the ways that, okay, let me tell you, standardized testing is incredibly so, because I work in an industry where I coach speech and debate, and for 30 years it was low-income students that I was teaching to, and now I'm starting to get a different group of students in because I've changed jobs or whatever. And one of the things that we know is that, let's say you create standardized testing that's supposed to equalize education by allowing people to get scholarships from the private sector based on your merit, because that's supposed to help people. So it was supposed to make it so that rich people who could go to college just by virtue of being rich now have to compete with smart people who are getting scholarships that can crowd out some of that advantage. But it turns out what happens is the rich people go to these fancy prep schools. They're specifically prepping to boost their scores. And if you're in the high SES school, local private elite schools, 80% of them get commended or higher on the PSAT. Do you know what it is in public schools?
It's not just the prep schools. Even higher income people who go to public schools tend to score much higher in their SATs.
Okay, but 80% of those prep school kids get commended or higher on the PSAT. Do you know what it is for public schools?
Well, you're also controlling for people who, for many other reasons, are going to do very well in the SAT.
No, but take a guess. What do you think it is for public schools?
If you're not controlling for this group of people that's going to get very high, and not a lot of people as a fraction of the population go to these prep schools, if we're talking about just the general public, my guess is it's very low. Comparatively low.
Less than 1%.
Wait, guys, what was y'all's SAT scores and IQ scores? What do y'all got? Nah,
13, 20? I don't know
Sorry.
IQ.
Sorry, it was the.
Oh, I do.
It was a
I took an
joke,
IQ
guys.
test when I was 10.
It was a
Okay,
joke, it was a joke, it was a joke. Sorry, keep going.
My
It was a-
SAT score was 98. My ASVAB was 99. Get fucked.
Chai, can I ask you,
Very
Chai,
good.
were you referring to this question when it comes to like bias? Were you talking about welfare generally, or were you talking about Pell Grants specifically?
It can apply to either, but I guess because you were talking about Pell Grants, there's that too. I do have a personal grudge because I feel like because I am a white woman, I do not get any aid no matter what my situation is, which isn't, I didn't have a great situation. I really could have used the help. So
Was it
that's more
useful
so
for
what
your
my
staff?
question is directed at. But you guys seem to kind of agree on this. So I also want to know like reformation plans. Like if you had to have a loose idea of what you would think would fix it, what would you think would be possible?
For just for Pell Grants or for the welfare generally?
We'll do Pell Grants since
Sure.
it's smaller and I'm
We'll do
asking a big
both.
question.
I'll do
Both?
I'll do
Do
I'll do
both?
both.
Okay.
In fact, I'll answer the
Can we
bias
include
question for both.
student
too.
loans too? Yeah, let's.
Sure. So for
Yeah.
me, the Reformation would start with, again, the prompt. Even though I do take this position, I don't even have to because the prompt isn't this extreme. But the position here isn't
Right.
abolishing all welfare. It's simply that it's
Mhm.
expanded too far, right? And the U.S. does it
Right.
poorly. So my position here is that Pell Grants represent a unneeded form of welfare. A reform that I would do is simply make them loans. If you go to college, you get loans, and you don't have this problem of divvying up or deciding, oh, you get it and you don't get it, because of whatever metrics. It's more along the lines of, look, you incur this cost, you get this benefit, you have to pay for what the when I go get my car oil changed, I pay for that service. Okay. If I go to college, I should have to pay for that service. And I agree, not every 18-year-old has the money now, but when they make more money afterwards, then they can go back and then they can pay off the cost. That's what a loan is. In terms of my ideas for reforming generally in society, I mean, look, it would be on kind of the more extreme end, a lot of reductions in welfare. But even if you don't want reductions in welfare, you could do targeted changes that would reduce the overall expenditure, but would lead to better outcomes. Best example, you can no longer use food stamps to buy soda or cake or Jolly Ranchers, as Gibbs said he was eating before. There's no reason why, like, these things that are bad for you, that lead to overall problems, why are you able to use public money to buy them? We don't let people use SNAP benefits to buy alcohol and tobacco, but yet we use it. We let them people use it to buy Mountain Dew, which every dentist in the world will tell you that's not good. We shouldn't be letting people do that. Social Security, people should be allowed to opt out of Social Security and put their money into their own private stocks if they want. Again, more than 95% of people. There was the St. Louis Federal Reserve did an analysis of this. If within the past, I think it was like 60 years, if people put the money that they were otherwise paying into Social Security, they put it into the stocks in the stock market, they'd make 95% of them would make more money. If it was government bonds, most of them would make more money. And that's not forcing them to retire, right? I agree. If you force people to save their money, right, then perhaps they're going to be less poor when they get old. I don't even think you should force people to save their money. But even if you forced people to save their money in a retirement account, it would be better for them than Social Security, which is America's #1 welfare program. It's completely inefficient, even if you want old people to get out of poverty, which, again, for me, I think that should be a personal decision, right? If I want to spend all my money on a Corvette now, that should be my decision. I don't want to be buying a Corvette when I'm 90, okay? I'm not going to be able to attract all the women. I'm not going to be able to have as much fun, okay? I want to have fun now, and that should be my decision as an adult.
Okay, so
just real quick, I'm gonna let real quick shout out. Thanks, Sorobi, for the biddies. Like I said in the chat, guys, if y'all don't know Sorobi, follow him. He does mainly. He's got a bunch of big Discord. He also streams, but his Discord's where it's at. If you need gaming help, gaming help's in there. Tech help, I pop in once every few months when I need tech questions answered. Yada yada. After iCal goes, I'm gonna turn it over to Pintuple, let him ask a couple questions here. Go ahead, iCal.
So there are several things that I keep hearing over and over again, and I keep thinking I should respond to it. And one of them is, like, back when I first heard what you were talking about with the Pell Grant, you were said one of the problems is that there's other people who don't get it, which to me is an argument for expanding the franchise. But when you want to expand the franchise in a way where we turn that into loans instead of grants, if I could expand the franchise by turning them into loans and getting a much larger total number of dollars lent out than what we were giving out with the Pell Grant, I could buy into that. However, if you're talking about loans that aren't guaranteed by the government, so they don't absorb any costs, then what you're basically saying is you have to have a perfect credit score in order to get the kind of value on loans that we could get now. And in fact, I don't think you would even get that value with a perfect credit score, but you would certainly make it so that people who need those loans the most aren't getting it. The only way for loans to be viable, especially if they're going to replace grants, would be if they're guaranteed the way student loans are guaranteed now. And that's what I said at the beginning when I said loans. I said Stafford loans and Perkins loans, and those loans are subsidized by the government. Sometimes they go to 0%, and they can't be more than 5% of your disposable income in terms of what you have to pay back later on. And what that does is it automatically makes it so that people with the most means, those people that Lactoid was talking about, the people with the most debt who are in the top 2 quintiles, are all going to be able to pay larger amounts of money in order to pay their debts off. And people who are at the bottom, for whom college fails, are going to have less of a burden. So absolutely, I would do that, but that's not an argument for reducing welfare. That's an argument for expanding it and changing its form. It was the same thing with food stamps. You can expand the franchise by saying, you know what, we're going to overhaul how food stamps works. We're going to make it so that it encourages, good, healthy food. I'm not going to trigger anybody by using the word food desert, right? But it is going to encourage people to eat healthier, go, get more produce, whatever, if there was some reform. But that wouldn't be getting rid of welfare either. That would be expanding the franchise, because it is just easier to give them a small amount of money and let them buy 2-liter bottles of Coke. But that's not the way it should work. We should give it more resources so that it can, so that people who are on that system can eat healthy, which is absolutely necessary for kids to perform in school as well. We know that with a healthier diet, they perform better in school, and they can earn more scholarship money, and that reduces the inequality, like between rich and poor there as well, and also like among other ethnic groups. So it seems to me that everything I'm hearing, even the ones where I agree that there's a problem in the system, the answer is to expand the franchise, but to get rid of its worst elements.
No,
That's where most of our agreement is.
I'll let you respond in a second here, but what we're gonna let's get Pentuple in real quick. Did you have any questions here, Pentuple?
I did. I have one that I guess Lactoid can start with, but I do want to hear from both of them on this. And it kind of goes to her question about reforming welfare. But what role do you see charity playing in that? Should the governments just be engaging with charity? And then to Lactoid, when you're talking about people becoming reliant on welfare and the downfalls of welfare, do those apply in your mind to someone who's accepting charity? And what I want to know just sort of how charity fits into this discussion about welfare, because I think it could play a really big role in reforming us, but it depends on if we have the same goals, I guess. So I want to hear what you think about that.
Which one of us?
Lactoid first, I guess, because he opened it up with talking about the shortfalls of being reliant on welfare and stuff like that, which I would argue also could apply to charity, even though I see them very differently. But I do want to hear both of you. Just where does that fit into this sort of discussion about the reform of welfare?
Yeah, so that's fair. I do want to respond afterwards to, and after obviously Aiko gets an answer to some of the points that were made, because there were some hidden premises that put in there that I have to address. But as to the question specifically from Pentuple, what are some of the First of all, what are my thoughts on charity? Charity is, I think charity's fine. I think people want to give their money to other people who they think are needy, or really for any reason. That's fine. We all have people in our family or friends that sometimes need help. However, I think we all also have some people who are friends or family that we begin to notice a trend in what kind of help they need, which is that it becomes very easy for them to get help from other people as opposed to become self-reliant. And that would kind of go towards the welfare cliff example that I brought up before, how according to one Policy Center's estimate, up to 30% of welfare recipients avoid getting more income, avoid getting promotions, going to get more work, etc., because they don't want to lose the welfare. That's also probably true when it comes to some people who get charity, right? Some people who get charity might say, "Oh, I can just live off other people. I can abuse that good faith, and then I can, don't have to work." That's sure, that's a problem. But the difference to me is that when people, in this case, who are receiving charity, that charity could be cut off, right? You could have people say, "No, I know that you're abusing this. I know that you're having issues with this, and so we can't just keep giving this to you. The purpose of this is to make you self-reliant." That's not necessarily the same when it comes to welfare, which is more of a legal right that people have. It's just it doesn't get to be divvied up on that kind of basis. The other issue, and the main issue, is that charity is a voluntary transaction. If you want to waste your money, if you want to put all your money, or Gibbs just burned a $100 bill, I think, right? If Gibbs wants to put all of his money in a pile and light it on fire for whatever purpose, don't you light it on fire, okay? But if you want to do that, oh Jesus Christ! If you want to do that, that is your property. You can do so what you will.
That isn't that illegal? Isn't that actually illegal?
I don't think so. I don't.
I don't.
I feel like it's actually because like
It's immoral.
Hold on.
I agree. It's immoral. But
because what is your their mind?
it reduces your virtue. But regardless,
Yeah,
but regardless, like if you want to waste your own money, that's fine. But there's a huge gulf between, oh, I'm going to waste my own money, and I'm going to start a program to take your money and waste it. That's messed up. I think that's the main difference. So yeah, while some of the same elements of disincentivizing work might exist, I think charity has better guardrails, works with private money instead of public money, and you know, the guardrails. I think the guardrails and it being voluntary are the two main differences I think between that and welfare.
and as for your other thing, Chai, no concerns because these don't need to be reissued. They're just a net loss. So penal code, fine. Yeah, we just accept that, and we consider it money better spent than other people. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, sorry, going on.
Wait a minute. So we're just cool with that? We're just cool with money just being we're like, whatever. I mean, you destroyed it, whatever.
Well, I mean, we are with welfare, so
Well,
Is it any different than like burning a cryptocurrency?
yeah, like that's called have enough money to burn, and then you can do cool things like that.
I just made your dollars worth more.
And we didn't have to sell out our values to do it. Just saying. Anyway, go ahead, iCount. Turn it over.
Yeah,
to you.
so I have three responses. One of them is the response that Lactoid gave, which was to say, oh, hold on, sorry. It's the response that Lactoid gave, which is that you have legal rights associated with the government spending, whereas there's nothing like that when it comes to charity, right? So you might get, charity dollars might go somewhere one year, but the next year it dries up. That's a big problem with charitable giving, is that it's highly unreliable. I used to volunteer for a homeless shelter. There used to be these like little church groups that would come in and just like throw sandwiches at people and then leave. And then the next day you wouldn't see them. There was no sort of consistent activity going on. And a lot of this food just was wasted. Like they actually kind of got mad sometimes when we had already fed people because we were there at the same time every day. It was like consistent. And then they showed up maybe 30 minutes after we had served lunch and they were mad that nobody wanted their sandwiches. So that's what happens with that kind of spending. Now, there's also a difference in size. It's not just that one of them's a right and one of them isn't. The prompt talked about $1.1 trillion in government spending. Charitable giving is less than half of that, and that's even deceptive because of the $557 billion in private giving that happens every year in the United States, $484 billion of that is going to churches, and the way that the churches spend that money is not focused on helping the poor as much as it should be. Some of it is, but a lot of it's for show. We all know that there's no way to hold these people accountable in its very unreliable service. Among the remaining dollars, you can give your money to the Koch Foundation, right? Or to some, progressive org or whatever to help a politician get elected, and that counts as charitable giving. So I don't think that they're getting nearly as much done as when you're dealing with something that, as Lactoid said, is a legal right that people can rely on from year to year.
Okay. I want to respond to that, and then I also want to respond to the
Go
prior
ahead.
points.
Yeah, we'll open it up for a little while.
Okay, so just to be clear, giving money to somebody to be elected, that's not going to be charitable. You're not going to be able to report that as charitable. Some organizations might be like that have a political slant might be considered charitable, but like super PACs or PACs or whatever.
I'm talking about charitable givings where the charity then itself becomes involved in politics, especially churches, and we really haven't done anything to stop that, even though theoretically we could because they get all these tax exemptions by virtue of not getting involved in politics, but we know that churches now are...
Yeah, but the church is not going to be like... The charitable money given to a church in order to accomplish church tasks is not going to be like directed at the purpose of getting somebody elected, right? That would be illegal. You can't do that as a nonprofit church.
Well, did you ever see that Stephen Colbert thing that went on for like 6 months, where he started a super PAC and then he started using it in ways that couldn't? there were all these things he wasn't supposed to do because supposedly it was illegal. But because we don't have a functioning FEC, it never gets enforced. None of that
Well,
stuff.
okay, if we want to talk about like enforcing like election laws, that's fine. I'm just saying that technically.
Well, we're talking about the law as it exists
but I'm
today.
saying it would be, yeah, if the law as it exists today, it would be illegal to use that like for the purposes of getting somebody elected. It's not, that wouldn't really be within the basket of charitable giving.
It's theoretically.
I mean, again, people might like commit fraud in order to accomplish certain ends, but we're talking about charity policy. Like,
I would argue that every super PAC is committing fraud.
welfare. Okay, that could be the case. Every super PAC might be committing fraud, but again, like if you're charitably giving, it is illegal in the U.S. to use that directly for a PAC or to get somebody elected. And when we're
you don't trust George Soros. I know you don't.
When we're talking about
what I think doesn't matter here, you know.
That's fine.
I'm an impartial moderator with no goals of my own. Right.
I wanted to address something that was snuck in with the prior Pell Grant and SNAP points.
It's snuck in a lot of things.
So, so Ika, what you said before with that your general thrust was that with SNAP and with Pell Grants, you know, Lactoid isn't necessarily for cutting these programs. Lactoid is actually in favor of expanding these programs, just making them better. But the reality is that you're adding in an element here that I never stated, which is, like, for example, with SNAP benefits, you wouldn't have to expand SNAP benefits. If you simply put in a rule saying, hey, you're not allowed to buy soda with these SNAP benefits, and didn't increase it by $1, didn't increase the budget by a penny, you're going to have two things happen. You're going to have overall SNAP recipients be healthier because they're not buying something that's entirely nutritionally deficient, that's not recommended by doctors or dentists anywhere. And another benefit, the money that they would use on soda, without giving them any more money, the money that they would otherwise use on soda would be used on more healthy alternatives. So it wouldn't be expanding the program. You could leave the program the same. You could probably even cut the program slightly if you remove the ability, because the number one item purchased by SNAP recipients is going to be soft drinks. Right? Mm-hmm. So not the same with non-SNAP. It's up there, but it's not the same thing. It's not the number one item for, or it's not nearly the same percentage as, I don't know the exact percentage for non-SNAP recipients, but it's not nearly the exact percentage. And so that would free up money without expanding it whatsoever. You could probably even reduce it a little bit and you would still get better outcomes. And the reality is, in the United States, if somebody starves to death, it's not because they were ineligible to not starve to death. There was some kind of administrative error. Okay. In the US, people don't starve to death outside of administrative error. If you are starving, you can get food for free somehow from the government. Okay. That's not the problem. Right. The problem is, again, how are these welfare programs administered and how bloated are they? Do we need a third of Americans receiving these? I'm arguing not. And the SNAP alteration was simply one idea as to shrinking it, but making it more streamlined, removing, again, a bloated welfare system. With Pell Grants, you said the same thing, make more loans available. You wouldn't have to do that. Simply make every Pell Grant dollar a loan. You would leave the exact same amount of money in the system. You wouldn't expand it whatsoever. You would simply turn it from a Pell Grant system to a loan system. And if there's a inlay into the government from people paying back their loans, this is going to be cheaper for the government because they're receiving money after the fact, than it would be just to hand out money for free in the form of Pell Grants to people who are going to go on to make more money.
Right. Okay. So that's two general arguments I want to respond to. For the first one, I have 4 responses. Okay. The first one is I'm advocating for the expansion of CHIP. I'm not saying that you're necessarily doing that, but what I'm saying is what you're suggesting would kind of be supercharged by that. And so that's just my advocacy. I'm not saying that that's your advocacy, but it's my advocacy based on what it is that you suggested for reform. And I think going forward, if we did both of those things, we'd be in a better shot. Secondly, on the I do think it gets more expensive if you start focusing on healthy foods, because maybe my second and third point are the same point. But anyway, because fresh food is expensive. And it also, I don't know, something like 40% of it never gets eaten at the home because people try to buy avocados and see how long you can keep them, right? You remember those jokes about the avocados, not yet, not yet, not yet, now, too late, too late, too late? That's how it works with a lot of these things. And so if you're eating healthy, a certain percentage of what you buy is going to be like difficult to manage, especially if you're working 2 jobs or single parent family or something like that. It's going to get more expensive. And so my third point is actually probably along the same lines, because I have an addiction to hint water. I don't know if anybody's tried this stuff. It's amazing. Okay. It's also super
No.
healthy. I can see it
Hemp
being
water?
yeah, it's water in a bottle that has a little bit of like fruit flavor in it. It's basically just water, but like blackberry is my favorite. You drink it, you can
Propel?
definitely taste the blackberry, but it has 0 calories. It's water. It hydrates you. It's like super healthy, but it's like $1.25 per bottle, right? This is what I'm talking about. But I don't think you're saving money.
They could buy
I think
that instead of
it'd
Coke.
be cheaper to buy those 2-liter bottles of Coke than it
Well,
would be to buy
It
this water.
depends if it's from a bag or a can or you know, it's all relative with Coke.
Yeah, I've tried other
We
ways.
could
I just
give them
really can't get off
Nutriloaf.
the addiction.
We could compress a bunch of carrots and do a fucking loaf and just that's what they could buy. Like
Carrot.
there are
What about
ways
Soylent
you can make it
Green?
healthy.
Dog
without-
food line.
There are ways to
Wait a
make this
minute,
healthy.
That's made of people, isn't
Soylent
it?
Green.
No, I think you're thinking of
Green.
Soylent Green. Nutriloaf is what they give
Soylent
to
Green,
prisoners.
yeah,
Okay?
it's-
I'm not talking about that.
Okay, but
okay?
my
And I'm
fourth
not even
point-
talking about Nutriloaf, to be honest. I'm saying that, like, come on. Oh, sorry, you had a third point. Go
Okay,
ahead.
my fourth and final point on this one is just that another problem with SNAP is it's just not enough. You cannot feed a family on like $25 a week or whatever it is that they're getting. So the reason for my advocacy has to do with that even when you take the sodas off, and even if they can avoid the temptation of hint water, they're still not going to have enough money to get the kind of food that they want, because the dollar amounts that they're giving every week is just too low. But on the Pell Grants, you're talking when you're.
Wait,
I
can I
understand
fight
what
you
you're
on the
saying.
snap? Can I fight you on the snap before we move to the Pell Grants real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. A couple things here. So again, you can spend the money that you would otherwise be buying junk food on healthy food
Mhm.
without necessarily requiring a increase in money. So there's going to be more expendable income for that healthy food. You're saying, well, there's already all this food that's like going bad. I think that's probably another indication of the failure of the system. If they were hungry, they should eat the food before it goes bad instead of buying all this food and then letting it go bad,
Well,
right?
so
That's money that's being spent. And another
Easier
thing,
said than
the
done.
average,
Let me ask you a question.
the average.
Because
One more point.
We lost a lot of avocados.
This is important. Well, okay,
Actually-
if you're on Snap, you shouldn't be buying avocados. Okay, I'm sorry. That's like
rice and beans
what
only.
the fuck? Avocado toast. You're literally playing into the Gen Z meme. Like these people
Wait,
should
what
not be
should they
buying
be buying
avocados.
with it? Should they be buying like rice
Avocados
and
are
beans?
no.
What
They
should
should be
calories
buying
given avocados are a
food.
bargain.
They should be buying food. Okay, that they have enough wherewithal to eat before it goes bad at a rate higher than 40%.
Twinkies.
So like
First
rice
of all,
never
beans,
expire.
yeast. That all-
Potatoes. Look, and this is
Okay.
going to go into my other point. Okay, because I actually
You don't
did
want to
this.
see the potatoes in my closet.
That's weird. I actually did this. Okay, I went to Walmart and because the average food stamp recipient gets $187 per month. Okay, and there's some people who get a lot more than that. Obviously, there's some people who get less, but 187.
Wait, does that
is about
include
the amount.
families, or is that just only for single people?
Per person. Per person, 187. So if you have a family of 4, you're getting hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Okay.
I work with a lot of people.
I just
who are
Googled it.
used to
I just Googled it. It's 187.
187 per person, but you're counting
187
kids like
per
you're
person.
talking about $750 a month for a family of 4 is what you're saying would get it.
If that's
I'm
the
gonna
math,
look that up 'cause I don't
I've been
know.
drinking. I don't know if the math works out that way, but if it does, then yes. And I've seen this.
Maybe if you
So
maybe if
question
you
for
had
the chat.
$0
Would you be in favor
income.
of crickets? Like,
Well, hold on.
do we- like,
I'm
we
getting.
should
I'm
give
getting to a point.
crickets?
I'm getting to a point real quick. Okay. So
Actually, cricket's pretty good.
it's 187 per person according to Google. You can all look this up. So a family of 4 is getting a fuck ton of money. ICO said 750. That wouldn't surprise me. I've seen amounts that high, but $187 per person. I've looked this up on Walmart. You can order. I think it was like over 100 pounds of food for like $60 and get it delivered for free to your house. It's going to be made up of chicken. It's going to be made up of potatoes. It's going to be made up of rice and beans. It's going to be bananas. It's going to be eggs. It's going to be all the different things that are more than staple foods, actually. It's going to provide a wide range of all of your essential vitamins and minerals and a caloric intake that's going to be more than enough for the entire month. And that's a fraction for the whole family, right? When you look at the overall poundage, it's like over 100 pounds. I'll show you my exact math. But and it's delivered for
Man, I
free,
don't
by the
know.
way.
With inflation,
Delivered for
that's-
free. Yes, even including inflation. I checked this like a couple months ago, and it was delivered for free, so you can't pull the foods desert shit. I appreciate you for not bringing up that myth. But it delivered for free, no matter
I
where you
snuck it
are.
in just for you to like.
Yeah, I get upset. Yeah, I
play
know.
with.
But and that's going to be more for a whole family, and yet it's a fraction of what one person gets. If anything, we're paying too much for SNAP, and this is evidenced by the fact that SNAP recipients are not buying disproportionately nutritional food to prevent starvation on this. They're buying soda. They're buying Skittles. They're buying shit that, hey, if you want to spend your own shit on this unhealthy shit, whatever, right? You can be unhealthy. That's fine. I'm not the healthiest. I'm drinking whiskey, okay? But I didn't take the government's money to do it, right? And that's the
Are
important part.
avocados unhealthy?
My understanding is avocados are not unhealthy. They're not the healthiest food, but they're okay.
So are you saying that because certain people
They're
choose
too
certain
bougie.
food diets that they shouldn't be allowed to get the nutritional food that fits in those diets because you deem that prissy?
If somebody keeps letting their avocados go bad, they probably shouldn't buy avocados. Okay, if you have
Wait.
somebody who, like, let's say they cut out all the junk food in their life,
I'm
and
sure
they're
the people getting avocados on that program, there are some that let them go bad, but I'm sure the ones that use them actually do use them. Like,
Well, let
think
me
about
ask
it. That's
this.
a
Let me do-
breakfast option, a snack option. Like,
okay.
it's,
Is it just 'cause they're
healthy.
expensive?
Maybe I could compromise on an avocado, but
Avocado
I'm not
shouldn't mix.
compromising on Coca-Cola.
So,
Okay, hold on.
would you say that healthy food should be cheaper in your ideal world too? Then, in
Whoa.
general,
Hold on. Welfare recipients would have more money to buy the healthy food, more money than they currently do to buy the healthy food, if they're not spending it on soda, because soda costs money and soda provides no nutritional benefit.
the alternative of soda, hint water, is about the same price as soda.
I've never
Wait,
had
why do they
hint
have to
water.
buy a drink of water?
Hold on. Let me get. So 10 words or
I'm
less.
just
the fuck is
empathize
hint
with
water?
my
Not
addiction.
everyone has access to clean tap water.
Let me just jump in here.
Yes.
There's
real
no
quick.
way
We're
I'm
gonna-
getting your vote.
Everyone's got access to a
Hold on,
Brita.
Let me just jump in here real quick. All right, all right, this is new. We're gonna do rapid fire. Special edition just came up with this concept.
Wait, before rapid fire, I want to have just 2 responses. Can I do
That's
that?
fine. Yes, fine. All right, quick.
Okay. So I just looked. I looked it up. I saw the same study that you did. $187 per person. You're right, but then there's a per household
I'm
number.
right.
That's $343 per household. So yeah, if you're an individual on SNAP, you might be in a little bit better shape. But if you're a household, that's not really a
So
lot.
wait, should it be reduced for
a month.
individuals? Should it be
Maybe-
reduced for individuals then, Aiko?
No, I think it should. I think households need to catch up to where individuals are and actually surpass it, because it is more expensive to get those healthier foods. However, let me just do a little defense of Walmart. Another thing I looked up, I know this is 2 facts in a row, and I've got a judge who doesn't care about facts, but I just want to say 60 cents for an avocado at my local Walmart.
Hey!
60 cents.
I'm okay. I'm okay with it now.
That was like Chai said.
Boom. There you go. Here's the system. Here's the system. You say you can't buy unhealthy foods, and then you put like a price per benefit ratio individually quantified for food items that you can spend
Subsidized
government money
produce,
on.
yeah.
Sure, but this is going to lead to a massive reduction in SNAP spending, because again, the number one expensed item for SNAP is soda. This will lead to
But it
people
wouldn't
buying
lead
less
to
soda.
a reduction in total spending, because what I'm saying is, what I'm advocating for is that money that goes away from all of that then gets put into subsidies for produce, so that instead of subsidizing corn the way that we do, we're doing it with healthy food that it would actually be good for households to consume.
You just said an avocado is 60 cents. We don't need to subsidize that
Yeah.
shit. It's cheap.
All right, quick.
You
jump
can't
in
live on
here, right?
avocados alone, all right?
Here's
You
what
need
we're
hint
gonna do.
water.
Yeah, you need
Here's what we
eggs,
do.
which are also cheap. We need fucking chicken, which is cheap. You need potatoes that are cheap. Bananas.
Eggs aren't cheap
You can
anymore,
get
but we
bananas.
could have a system that
Bananas
would
at
make
gas
them.
station, like 60 cents a
All right.
pound.
Okay, thank you.
What's
All
up,
right, here's
Gibbs?
what we're gonna do. I gotta ask a quick rapid fire question, and like I don't know, 14 words or less.
Mhm.
We don't have to be exact, but a real short sentence. I want y'all to answer this, right? Okay. And then I'm gonna let Pentumble ask 2 questions. Then we're about like 15 minutes left.
Okay, but say a name when you do it, because I want to know whether you're asking me or him.
Yeah, I'll be clear on who I'm asking. All right.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna let Pentumble ask quick questions. And then if Chai's got another one, I'll let her go. And then I'll let y'all go back and forth for about 2 minutes more each. And then we're gonna go to closings. All right, here's what we're gonna do. His first question. We'll send it, I guess, who started well, you know what, Lactoid, you can start this one. All right. Ideal world. Only thing on food, other than I know you want to cut welfare out completely in your ideal world, but let's just say almost ideal world, no sodas, all this. Are you in favor of this being the only things allowed to be bought on food stamps? Rice, beans, crickets, cockroaches, mosquito burgers. Go.
Mhm. Which one of them? You just have to say name.
Lactoid.
No.
Yeah, I think we both agree on that.
There
Yeah,
can
one word
be
answer is good.
slightly more along the lines of what I said earlier.
Yeah, isn't
13 words.
isn't it the,
All right,
isn't it the left?
go ahead.
All right, I got a
Advocate for-
question. I got a
Well, hold on,
question. I
let
got a
Ike answer.
question. 15 words or less. Do you think Gibbs' question is fucking retarded? Go ahead, Blackboy.
One of the reasons.
Given that Gibbs is not a judge, I do.
All right, there you go. All right, let Ike answer here. Go ahead.
I get double the words now because it's for both questions.
Yeah, you should.
I'll just say
30 words.
yes on the second question, and also like, isn't it supposed to be the left and like the UN that's supposed to be making us eat bugs all the time? Like, why all of a sudden is it coming from the right? I'm suspicious of that.
Look, I've never made this point. I eat crickets.
I
They're
know,
fine.
I know, yeah, yeah. It's you and me against Gibbs at this point.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Principal, go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna give you guys 17 words. We'll start with iCal. Do you support drug testing to qualify for welfare?
No, because it's incredibly expensive, and when they have done it in states like Florida, they ended up spending more money, not less. I know that's more than 17 words.
Can I
Your
respond?
answer has been stricken
I
from the
know.
record. Just kidding.
Lactoid, go ahead.
Can I respond to that? Also breaking the 17-word rule.
Yeah.
You just did already.
Yes.
Uh,
No, when you've used 7.
That's one of the- that's like-
Answer the next question.
it's like a wish fuck up. Yeah. Okay. Ico's there's context. It's
Mhm.
true that if you measure it on an individual basis, the cost of a drug test is going to be more than the cost of giving like that specific person welfare or whatever. But
Mhm.
like in terms of the amount of people that you catch, sorry, just to be clear. So if you just measure them, this many people tested positive for drugs and we cut them out of the program, it doesn't pay for
Mhm.
itself. But
Right.
when you implement drug testing, the overall applications to welfare drop significantly. And so the overall money saved from the people who don't apply and the people that are caught is significantly more than the cost of
Yeah,
drug testing.
That's a bug, not a feature. It means that we're not helping the people we need to be helping. Like, especially
If they have
drug
money for
addicts.
drugs,
like,
why can't they buy
people who are
food?
the most vulnerable in our society. Now, what we can do is try to get them help, like increase welfare funding for people to get off drugs. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. You know, people sell their food stamps, right? And then they use that to buy drugs.
You're gonna give them more money? Is that on drugs?
Hey, because the one thing that helps a drug addict is more money.
Yeah, current
Give them
value food
credit.
stamps, you can buy $6 worth of food stamps for $1. Don't ask me how I know that.
Do something like SNAP, give them credits for being able to go and, to get their treatment for their drug addiction, and they can spend their credits on that. If you want to,
I have
use test
seen
like
I've
that.
seen a crackhead scale the wall of a building like a lizard in order to get the shit they need for crack. Okay, these people don't have a hustle problem. They can go out and get money for food.
So you think they're going to sell their drug treatment credits to get drugs?
I think.
Um,
Are you
I'll answer
proposing
that.
this? I don't know anything about this
Yeah.
new policy, drug treatment credits. I'm talking about like welfare as we know it today, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about expanding the franchise yet again to address the problem that you just identified.
so you
I mean, I
want
think
more
every time
welfare? More welfare is what you're saying.
Yes,
I'll
absolutely.
need to think. Look, I was focusing on the welfare in the United States. A third of Americans.
I'm all
shit ton
for
of money.
making welfare better.
I don't know about
a lot
this.
of your
this
arguments have to do with
therapist credit.
making welfare better, but
about
I
shrinking it and making it more efficient. Shrinking it. 100 million is too much. You agree? 100 million is too much. A third of the country.
Just to reframe
Yeah.
the prompt is the question originally is should the U.S. government be spending this much money on welfare? Your response, iCal, is more welfare,
More.
better. Yeah,
More.
and then his response
Yeah.
is
Stop those
No.
communists. Oh yeah, you didn't address my main argument, right? Which was that in the 20th century, when all these countries were siding with, liberal democracy and capitalism versus communism, it was the welfare state that saved us from the scourge of the vanguard that
Yeah.
ripped through Russia and China and Cambodia and all these other
so.
places.
What you're saying is that Lactoid actually is a communist.
This is what I mean. This is
Okay.
what I-
Wait,
this is what I meant when I said he used to be an anti-communist, right? That was his
Mm.
brand, and then suddenly it stopped being his brand.
So there's
and now
two.
he,
There's two lines of thought here. The first line of thought that Ico
A
was
lot of that going
arguing is
around
like
here.
we got to give all these people free shit because otherwise
Mhm.
they might create a government in which they get free shit, right? Okay, that's one line of thought.
no.
But I think the other
totally
line of
different.
thought. Well, hold on. The other line of thought here is very along the lines of a book that's very well known Okay, it's called "If You Give a Mouse a Cookie." If you give a
Yeah.
mouse a
I like
cookie,
this book.
he's gonna want a glass of milk. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that the point taken as to, well, we might need some welfare to prevent communism. Okay, if that was
Right.
an analysis put forward to me, I got to take a look at that and analyze it. But you can't tell me that, hey, the much
Just read the
smaller
speeches of the communists of the day.
much smaller welfare state back in the 50s and 60s, etc., that was enough to stop communism, right? Is somehow like we need it much, much larger in an era in which poverty is overall
It
low,
worked.
in which
It worked.
look, we're talking about a third of Americans being on it. I'm not
Yes.
saying I even agreed if it stops communism,
I'm so
we
glad
can
you
let
brought up
people
that
buy
point, 'cause I meant to
bananas.
answer that too.
We can let people.
I
we can
just
give them
on
free
the
bananas.
third.
We can let people have free bananas if it means stopping
I
communism.
fucking
I'm fine.
hate bananas. I fucking
Okay,
hate
well then you
bananas.
get the avocados, 60 cents each. Okay, fine. But what I'm
I
saying,
hate avocados.
What-
Who
what-
said I liked avocados?
okay, do you just like Coca-Cola? Because if you do, then you're shit
I
of luck.
like
You're not
Dr.
getting any-
Pepper, okay?
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
Dr. Pepper and I
Nope.
like strawberries.
And look, at the risk of a vote here, you wouldn't get any Dr. Pepper money.
You
Okay,
should
can I
say
just
Dr.
answer-
Pepper is
Sorry.
the exception.
But
That's very
but
anti-Texas,
but I go.
anti-Texas, by the way.
We're talking about it. We're talking about a bloated welfare state, 100 million people. We're talking about almost a third of the country. You can't. By the way, when poverty rates are lower, you can't tell me that this is like necessary to stop communism, right? Because you could use this argument at infinitely, or you could say, oh, every single person needs like guaranteed money from the government and free living quarters, otherwise you might fall into communism. Well, at that point, we are communists.
At this point, we're only haggling. So there are two things I wanted to respond to, but I
Haggle
really need to
lower.
respond to this 1/3 of the population stat first, because what this tells you is that it's not just like the people at the very, very bottom who need this, that this actually can help the average American. So the fact that a third, we all benefit from it. This is one of the reasons why, by the way,
Not all.
Donald Trump didn't run on the old Republican standard of, there's winners and losers and we need to take resources away from people at the bottom. Because a lot of his voters are the people who rely on these things themselves, and and he understands that, and he that's never been in his rhetoric. Right? It was in Romney's rhetoric. It was in the rhetoric of people that went. Now, I would argue that he's going to take that stuff away anyway because he is who he is. But he at least has the good sense on the campaign trail to hide the fact that he's going to be disenfranchising these people who are actually voting for him. And I'll give you another example. My sister has been on disability for years. She literally can't get up off the couch most days, and she's a big Trump supporter, and she absolutely has no fear that Trump is going to go after the thing that allows her to continue living in the way that she did when she was able to work. But also, so the fact that it's 30% of the population just tells you how much we all sort of depend on it. And when you say, look, on the give a mouse a cookie stuff, go back and if you don't give this, then the alternative historically has been the very thing that you claim to be against.
We got to give a third of America free money, otherwise we might get communism in 2025.
We can negotiate on where you think the line is. I think the line is above 1.1 trillion. You think it's below.
That's very convenient for the prompt, isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, right. So we're advocating for the line being in different places, but we seem to both agree that the line would exist.
But here's the thing. I'm saying the line should be lower, and I'm pointing to very specific policy prescriptions here.
Yes.
I'm pointing to places where there's bloat, where there's loss, where you can achieve the exact same results that the welfare system is currently having, all the beneficial results, for less money by getting rid of externalities, by getting rid of redundancies, by getting rid of shit that doesn't make any sense. And for Social Security, removing it or changing the structure of it to make more people more money. 95% of people would make more money if they simply invested their Social Security payments. Okay, you're saying Trump's going to take it away? I don't think he is. I think that
I don't think he's taking Social Security.
Every Ponzi scheme. Yeah, every Ponzi scheme. The people at the end who've paid into it.
There are certain promises he made that I think. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want to lose it, right? I'm not.
Although Vivek
I'm not idealistic.
and
well, of course, because look, most economists hate Social Security. Econoboy agreed that Social Security was a bad model, right? Social Security is not the best welfare model when it comes to retirement.
Chile has been successful with their program, which invests
so
more
it's not
money
a
into the
PAYGO.
market.
It's,
But
yeah,
it's still, first
it's
of all,
cheaper. It's cheaper. It's not a
Alright,
PAYGO
let me-
system.
We're coming up close on time here, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give. So you started at Lactoid, so we're gonna let you go. You got 3 minutes here. Give us a closing, and then
Yeah.
Lactoid will give us a closing, and then we'll do some voting. We can do some post discussion while we wait for the chat vote and everything. All right, so go ahead. Give us a closing here, iCal, and we'll go from there.
Okay, I don't even think I need the 3 minutes necessarily. We'll see if I get there. But I was just talking about Chile. Like, they have a retirement system that's just like ours, except they invest in the stock market more. It's been very successful. If you want to reform Social Security so that it returns more money, that's fine. I'm not sure if we can even define that as Social Security, though, because you're paying in and paying out, and there's so many different people who are at different levels on this. I think we actually end up paying, in a lot of cases, end up paying more in than we do out. So I don't know how you can count that as part of the 1.1 trillion. I think the actual number for true welfare is much lower. Also, like, I don't know how we can define welfare. I should have brought this up at the beginning of the debate, but we have a constitutional mandate to what is it? The welfare clause of the Constitution that basically says that we have to ensure, like, the general welfare. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the kind of welfare spending we have right now, like, I understand that, but it does mean that we have the obligation to stop the communist revolution, especially after, like, big economic downturns, right? There's a reason also why MAGA communism is becoming a thing. It's because the emphasis on eliminating the welfare state has gone down considerably, at least in terms of the rhetoric that's been going on. But the practices of it, I think, return us to a world where more revolution. Luigi is a perfect example, something that we want to avoid, right? Because we want to make sure that people are being taken care of. Even your hero, Millet, has said that he wants to have certain safety nets and a welfare system because he knows all the disruption he's causing by the other stuff that he's doing, which means even he believes in some degree of a welfare state existing in society. As a practical matter, not philosophical. That's it. I don't need the rest.
All right, we got 1 minute left. Interesting. Let's see if former tanky, now libertarian Lactoid can escape his communist accusations with his
Anti-communist.
with that now. Yeah, I mean, you've really gone through the lore on Lactoid. It's real impressive. He said he started as tanky,
Yeah.
then he was an anti-communist. Now he's just like a laid-back libertarian. Really, he's got it's an interesting.
Now he's an accidental communist. Like, he
Now,
doesn't
yeah.
intend to be, but yeah.
Also, by the way, I don't know about this MAGA communism. That sounds like what I call bullshit. And
I never touched no MAGA headquarters.
yeah, I gotta say, those are the kind of people. Those would be like.
I'll send you some resources.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Those are the counterpoints of the.
We have seen it.
The left,
Oz.
where they pretend to
Oz.
be righties, and then they're commies. That's how
Right.
that works. Anyway, let's go back to it. You got 3 minutes here.
Yeah. So as the famous communist that I am, going to make the argument against welfare, as most communists do on the internet, right? I mean, this is what communists are known for, arguing against welfare. Sure. So there is a statement, a couple words in the Constitution to promote the general welfare. Of course, the general welfare here, as was indicated, not meaning the kind of redistribution programs that we're talking about, because most of these weren't around at the time of the drafting of the Constitution. It's simply referencing general welfare, general well-being, etc. Right? Not necessarily referring to redistribution. In fact, until the 16th Amendment, there was some question about whether or not income taxes could even constitutionally exist, because it's all great and dandy to help people, to give shit away, but you also have to remember that redistribution is not a one-way street. Redistribution takes from something and gives to somebody else. There is no free lunch, as Milton Friedman said. There always is a cost to everything. If you absorb, if you take, you are removing something from somebody who could then use that on something and giving it to somebody else. And so then the question is, first of all, I would argue this is unethical, right? If you remove people's property that they worked for, you are removing part of their labor, you're removing part of their life away from them. Coercively, you're taking away from them. And also, it can be inefficient if what you're taking away from them isn't maximizing your returns. My argument, this entire debate has been, here are specific examples of where U.S. welfare and redistribution policy is inefficient. Here's where it's bad. Like, you haven't justified, even under a kind of left-wing utilitarian sort of mindset of, well, we got to redistribute in order to maximize returns. You're not maximizing these returns. Social Security is inefficient. Most economists agree it's inefficient. It has been repeatedly criticized, and it's only supported because a lot of people are on the tail end of the Ponzi scheme where they've already paid into it, and they don't want to lose that payout. We've talked about SNAP, how, we're talking about, I identified the very specific problem of people spending that money on non-nutritional food, despite the fact that SNAP is a supplemental nutrition assistance program. It's not actually supplementing nutrition in most cases. The number one item of food being spent on is soda, which is not nutritional. And then we talked about Pell Grants, where people who are going to college and then going on to make more money, why can't they pay back the resources that they've taken, as opposed to the rest of us, perhaps people who haven't used that service, footing the bill? For me, it was really important, I think, to focus on the empirics of all this, because I proposed very specific changes in which you can reduce overall expenditure, which obviously is bloated. We're talking a massive portion of the government budget. The 20% is actually somewhat inaccurate because that doesn't include overall federal spending. If you look at Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, those three programs alone make up more than half of all federal spending. And then you add other traditional forms of welfare spending on top of that, you have most federal government spending. Most 2/3 of what the federal government does is redistribution. It's not just paying for the roads or paying for like somebody who might specifically die if they don't get like bread in time. That's not what's going on. It's massive redistribution programs, taking from some and giving to another person, and it hasn't been justified as efficient. We can change some things, reduce overall expenditure, and potentially even reduce overall expenditure on top of that, and let people spend their own money on their own desires and their own future on their own projects, and lead to a better America. Thank you.
All right, guys. Yeah.
I got one last question, but
That's
it's got a little twist to it. It's only for one person, and it really might affect my.
Well, cool. Ask away.
Pick,
Let me too. Hold on, before you go. Chat, voting's up now. Vote for who won. Go ahead, ask your question.
I go.
Yeah.
Do you like Dr. Pepper?
Oh, I love it.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate
And also,
that.
you said you're into anime, okay? Like right now, I'm obsessed with Dan to Dan. I just want to say.
Are you into solo leveling?
Brown nose.
I'm not very familiar with it.
You should
I've heard
look
of
it up.
I
It's
don't know anything
sick.
about anime. I'm just now being introduced to it, and right now, Dan to Dan is like kind of taking up my time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Some shameful shit, Aiko.
He's muted. You muted yourself, Iko.
Oh, it's my number 3 right now. I've been watching a whole bunch because I don't know anything about anime, and Dan to Dan's made it to my number 3 on the.
Speaking of anime, let me just put the theme
We can
song
maybe
there.
talk about that later.
We can maybe talk about that after. I have a theme song for the background while we wait. Somebody in chat, let's see who can guess it first. I'm sure one of y'all will.
Wait, real quick. I did not vote in the last election on my prior debate. Are participants allowed to vote or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good. I voted for you.
I would highly
You did not
recommend
vote for
voting
me,
for
Aiko.
myself.
I was in chat and I voted for you last time. Just want to say,
Oh, last
You,
time. Okay.
I
Not
would
this time.
highly recommend voting for yourself.
Okay, well then,
the
look,
chat, yeah.
Aiko, just so you know, I'm going to vote for myself, so you should vote for yourself.
Yeah, okay, let me go there. Hold on, I have.
I don't know why y'all wouldn't do that. That seems dumb.
Yeah. I'm more prioritized on entertainment, so
Can I
maybe
bot half my account? Like, can I bot?
But I'm gonna do it.
50,000?
I just need to find it. Twitch.
Can you buy more votes? I mean, no. But,
Bot? Can I bot like
You
5,000?
used to be able to. I remember that. Yeah.
Can you bot the votes? I mean, if you figure out a way to do that, more power to you. I mean,
Hold on, I gotta pause.
but can't be that hard.
Okay, your vote might be the tiebreaker, dude. You might crush
It
me.
might tiebreaker. I figured out this last time whenever they decided they were going to make the chat tie. I figured out how we're going to solve that fucking problem. By the way, and don't worry, we're not going to have any more ties, chat. Y'all, I've learned a lot of things here about this is why we ran this short Grand Prix. So to figure out all the kinks that I might run into before the seasonal format starts. Also, shout out Pentemple. Thanks for the raid.
I mean, we did talk about this before. We're still trying to figure out the way to balance these panels, right? I think we're doing a good job of picking judges.
so.
I think chat has a lean, I think. But that's okay. I tell this to my kids all the time. You have to be able to adapt judge adaptation. That's
Yeah, I think the chat does have a lean.
I don't think this chat has a link.
I think the chat has a goal. It's to make my life miserable. That's what I think the goal is of the chat. That's what I've decided.
yeah.
Later, Sarobi. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Once again, go check out Sarobi's Discord if y'all don't know. Best place for gaming and tech help I found. A really good place. Oh, yes. On the Welcome Raiders. Y'all are safe here. This isn't quite MAGA headquarters, but it's sympathetic. We're good. We're good times here. You're not
My
gonna.
note- These pages were totally blank when I first got here. And I had zero prep and I filled them up.
I like it.
Yeah.
Is that graphs? You have graphs on there?
These are arrows. In debate, you draw arrows to show that one
Yeah.
person said this, and the response was this, and the response was this, and you're supposed to follow the arrows. Which
She's got fractions
It's
over there.
messy. Yeah.
I just had some sources for like.
my arrows only go
actual
3
points.
deep. They're supposed to theoretically.
187 per person.
Yeah, but I didn't like actually like write out an intro or anything. I just like looked through my facts and just.
Yeah.
Also, I would be, we do have a lot of Texas people like how if anybody, the Texas people will probably go to side with you, especially with the Dr. Pepper comment.
Yeah, see,
Uh,
that's
I
unfair.
don't have a chat- I don't have a chat to bring in, right? So it's basically your chat and Lactoid's chat voting, right?
Well, Pit Tupple's chat and
It's
Well,
fine.
that's a good
Yeah,
point.
it
Actually,
doesn't
members of
bother me.
Lactoid's chat should probably go to Gibbs chat.
Where they
You know,
yeah, that's Lactoid's over here leaving money on the table.
Yeah,
You
Lactoid's chat. You might want to hurry
got
up
about-
and look over at
You got
Gibbs's
about
chat.
20 seconds. Yeah, what's also really funny about that is, between me and Pit Tupple, we destroyed enough hundreds today for Connor to buy
That's
groceries
true.
for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure everybody in my chat knows your chat address, though. Gibbs. So
Mhm. Probably.
if they wanted to, they would have.
Mm-mm-mm.
Oh, the 7 at the last minute.
Oh man. Oh.
ooh.
And
7 people voted.
ICAL wins the chat vote. All right.
Oh,
Double the Jordy sitting
Well,
here.
that's
Thing to be here. Let's see here. All right. So yeah, we'll start with you, Pit Double. Who won and why?
Well, I think opinion-wise, I land in between both of you. I thought you both did really well, so I want to commend you both for the points you made tonight. But I went with Lactoid. I thought he was a little bit more specific, and not that your answers were bad. I just think they were a little bit more general, and a lot of the history stuff. It was just I don't know that we were able to really get too into that. I don't know that I was convinced that like avoiding communism is not to get too into it, but I went with Lactoid. But I thought both of your arguments were very well, and I land somewhere in the middle. I'm not against welfare. I liked the point that you made actually about the general welfare thing, because
yeah.
I think that's something that me and Lactoid would probably differ on a lot of different issues in that realm.
There's still more to
but
say about the welfare clause for sure.
yeah.
We should have brought it up
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up, and then I thought Lactoid had a really, really also really good response for it. So I went with Lactoid, but I think you both did very well. So
Great.
commend you both.
All right, and Shy, who you got here? I know Lactoid expects to win your vote for sure after.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Do I tie with chat? How does the voting work? Is
Well-
chat one judge?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is the last judge decides. Yeah.
she's decided here.
So I put the ball in your court. All right.
So, I would say that I would side kind of in the middle personally as well, but I do lean more towards Ico's side a little. It's not because of the Dr. Pepper, don't worry, I don't count that in my vote. The thing that I'm disappointed with you with Ico is that it's okay to be late to a show. It happens. We get life happens. We're fine with that. You had no reason to tell us you weren't prepared. I was really upping the game because of that. If you didn't mention that and I just got to listen to you, I probably wouldn't have had an idea. I
Right.
wouldn't have known and I would have judged you differently. And there were certain points that I wish you would have brought up, like, okay, you're saying all this money that we're doing is covering all these people. Well, why don't we just keep doing more taxes on the rich? What did they need that for? Like, find other
Right.
ways to make welfare work while increasing it. Like, you have to find an argument why you can make it work because other people don't need it as much either. Like, there was just other ways to argue it that I felt could have made it stronger. But I
Mhm.
did like your argument. I can tell you're knowledgeable. Unfortunately, I did have to vote Lactoid. I did let him get this win.
Yeah.
He
Despite
didn't
the
have my
background.
interest at first. I
What
really
a
wanted you to win. You were my bias, but he brought me back. Like when he started talking about his fucking quote, I was like, why the fuck's he talking about this bullshit? And then he brought it back and I was like, okay, he's getting me to actually fucking listen to him. I guess this is working.
Oh, you just American Idol the fuck out of us. Oh my god.
She knows how to do the drama.
Yeah.
So Lactoid, you are my winner.
Yeah. There we go. That was good.
That totally sounded like you said Ico is the winner.
That was.
I thought so. I thought so. Wow.
It's really weird how your
That was a
intro
run
was
for-
like,
a great
hi,
run
I'm
for
Lactoid. You can find me on YouTube, Twitch, and like Twitter. And then your opening statement was like an entire evil villain monologue.
Why is it that we are the evil ones when we make these monologues? Like Lactoid. Every time I get told I'm evil when I make a monologue at the beginning. It
No
just
one's
seems to happen
talking
so
about
often.
you right
It
now,
happens so often.
Gibbs.
I
You can
know,
talk
thank
about
you.
yourself later.
Thank you. I got it. We will talk about myself later. Don't worry. I have a big ego to fill. But then I notice it happens to Lactoid all the time too. He'll come in here and they'll be like, he's so heartless. He hates humanity. In reality, I think is we're actually looking out for the common man, right? Like I feel like that's what's happening. You're tell her.
I thought I was done when I said the Dr. Pepper thing. I thought I was.
I don't
just
agree with
fucked.
you. I debated the way that you debated. That's what I did. I don't agree with you.
Okay.
But I can't judge you on that. That's not fair.
Well, there you have it, folks. Lactoid's going to the finals.
Nice.
The judges didn't do me any
It's going to be an
fucking
all
favors.
libertarian
Yeah,
finals.
I'm real
That
excited.
was razor thin.
I'm real
Very good
excited to
job.
pick topics for this because it was so fun trying to get a topic for two liberals to disagree on. I can only imagine finding topics that Lactoid and Scott disagree on.
I think how do you handle externalities would be a great topic for two libertarians to talk about, because I think
Well,
externalities are a very thorny
I
topic.
gotta say,
Should the state exist?
I'm gonna go ahead and throw the baby out of the bathwater here. The plan, the twist is we're gonna have some people that are definitely not debate bros at all be the judges. And I was hoping for we can offset the philosophical deep dive that I foresee happening. But that didn't happen. Thanks, Cal. You failed. No, I'm just kidding. But instead, now I'm gonna have these girls hearing about.
You know what? I know.
Oh, wait.
I know my mistake because I oriented my strategy towards a conservative chat. So I was hoping I could pick up chat by leaning,
You got chat.
making some conservative arguments, right?
Well, chat
Those are
won.
probably, yeah. And I think I barely edged them out because of that. But I really should have probably added, especially what you suggested about like who we tax and where this money comes from. That's definitely an argument that appeals to the left. And I was afraid, I was actually appealing to some of Lactoid's own biases. In order to get some concessions, which I think I did get some concessions.
I feel like he was
I probably should have
leading.
not hidden that part of it. I think I probably should have gone more left.
So Lactoid overall this entire time has been leading the discussion and you've been replying. That is
Yes.
another issue. You need to lead. You need to make sure he understands your point and he gets passionate and replies to it. You have to be firm on your stances. You can't bend to him. I would
tell you-
never bend to him.
You shouldn't be
I can tell you why
sitting
that
down.
happened.
And
I can tell you
Ico, to
is
give you a
actually the
boost,
debate.
right? Ico, did you say that you were a teacher earlier?
He's
I'm a debate coach.
You're a debate coach. Okay.
A state championship winning debate coach.
Yeah, you
Well,
should
on
be.
that note, to give you a boost since you didn't win, thank you for helping shape the future while Lactoid's doing what?
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, I'm doing
He's
what?
shaping the future too, just maybe in a different way.
Congrats on your Gibbs debate panel win, Lactoid. I hope you put it on your fridge, buddy.
There will be some kind of prize here at the end. Don't worry. For the finals, we have to figure out the date that everybody's available.
Yeah.
Sabian was not available on the date that I was hoping to reschedule. So, Lactoid, I've sent you some dates to look at. I think the 29th was one of them. I don't know what your schedule is. We'll go from there, but we'll figure this out. We got to figure out everybody's schedules, judges, and whatever else. We're gonna do something big for the finals here.
So can I insert one thing just real quick?
Sure.
So the reason why, and this is always the way I always go this way. But in academic debate, which at the tournaments that we have to go to, one of the ways in which you're judged is whether or not you've responded to all the points that have been made to you. And if you fail to do that, that's called a drop. And a drop is considered a concession. And so that's kind of how I'm trained. If he makes 5 points, I've got to respond to those 5 points, or he can come back and say, my opponent dropped these 5 points. And so, but I can understand what you mean about leading the discussion. Tried to do that with the communism stuff, but a lot of that was dropped in the story.
Aiko, there's a similar kind of, I kind of sort of, and I think it's somewhat detrimental sometimes, but I sort of operate in a similar manner because in law, right, if somebody makes an argument and you don't respond, it's considered conceded to. So if like someone writes a motion, it's a concession, right? So someone writes a motion, and there's like XYZ, like different motions or whatever in the filing, and you don't respond to one, that's considered conceded, right? So you got to respond to everything. And so that's why I can like, well, I got to go back to this. I got to go back to that. That's kind of why I was doing that too.
And I also think it's ethical, right? If somebody makes a point, they deserve a response.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I also like this is why I keep telling people though, like I think you did a good job. Like I go play into the crowd, right? Like you got like the crowd to give you a slight. You thought they were against you, Like I feel like my crowd probably would have favored that.
Jokes in there. I don't know.
Yeah, you did good.
I'm not Gibbs, but I have a joke or two sometimes.
Nobody is me. Let's just get that out of the way. There's a reason why I'm Dionysus in the flesh. It's oh my God. You can't stop divinity. But long story short, listen, I don't know where we're going. I had something, but you lost me there with my ego trip, and it's gone. But no, it's infotainment, and this is what I really keep going. And like on here, I feel like people lose that sometimes, and okay, I'll give you a perfect example. Just like Sunday, we're having an argument with Fabian and them, and I'm like, they're like saying all these words, and I feel like the crowd will like sometimes go to you if you just make them look bad, as opposed to like whatever. And like it's not necessarily be blood sports, but it's like, oh well, you didn't address this point. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to address that point because it's a fucking stupid point, and like move on. Like sometimes if you if you do that every time, then it won't work. But it's like strategy with how.
That's not our style. Lactoid is like usually like really polite, and I kind of am too. And that's just you were going to get that in this debate. That's just.
I do like blood sports, but the fact that you were both respectful is why that was okay for me.
Right. Yeah.
Both are good.
No. I mean, I can match energy. I've done it before, but I didn't have to with Lactoid.
That's also part of my issue too, right? Like if I in a courtroom, you can't like start yelling obscenities, like just
we're both
bring up the fact that somebody's like divorced. Like it's just not going to work, right? The judge is going to be like, "Hey, man, like you're in trouble now."
Yeah,
I mean, it's probably you could do it. It's probably not.
Pentelpa, you ever done that? You ever just started going off on your opposing counsel, like, "Oh yeah, well, you're ugly." Does that work?
You guys are good. No, I've only been in
trial was like that.
One of the law firms I worked for, I had to call the other partner because it was Barry and Stewart, and that's probably not gonna like me telling the story, but no NDAs, so fuck them. I had to, whatever. I had to call, go drive up to the office and get the other managing partner, like name partner, to go bail the first partner out. Mr. Stewart, no, Mr. Barry, because he fucking went off on the judge and was like, "Listen, you divorced piece of shit." I was like, "Oh no!" And so he threw him into jail for like contempt or whatever, and so we had to go get him out and some other charge. I don't remember.
Lactoid, just one quick thing, because I think in this debate, being able to have the last word was a big advantage, and in academic debate, there's pressure on someone who has the last speech not to bring up new argumentation. Is there that kind of pressure in a closing argument at trial too?
You can't.
Like
you can't. Like you're
restricted, right?
Yeah, in a closing, you're going to be making your argument based off all the information that's come in so far.
No new information in closing. Like that's a rule.
Well, so I mean,
like the movies where they drop we have the video.
Yeah. You can't do that. It has to be clear though.
During cross. But
in closing, you can bring up an argument,
Because I do
But-
mock trial too. I don't know anything about the law, but
Yeah.
for some reason they have me doing mock trial.
I'm not gonna lie, if Aiko fucking said something you said in a little kid voice and imitated you, he would have won the debate for me
What-
easily.
what
If
about-
he would have done that, I would have just picked him off the
What about,
bat.
like,
That is
pulling,
probably
like,
the only thing he could have done, though.
Sure, sure, sure.
Or like a Boston Legal, where like William Shatner's character is like, "Oh yeah, look at that man! Is that the man that
Well,
killed your husband?" She's like,
can't do
"Yes."
that.
And he like takes off his mask. He's like, "That's crazy," because the guy that did it's in the courtroom over there.
No, let me clarify. So in your closing, my understanding is
None of
you
that.
can't you can't bring in evidence during your closing. I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm wrong, Pentel. You can make a new argument, but everything needs to be based on the, like, you can't bring in new evidence.
Yeah, you can't introduce new evidence, but you can narratives or like ideas, I guess.
You like, if a narrative, like if you've been building towards this narrative throughout the whole trial, like you don't have to give
Right.
away your narrative. You can just like bring up the narrative during your closing
Right.
based on the evidence thus far. A question from my chat actually for you, Aiko.
Mhm.
In court, sometimes you
Right.
can have a jury find a defendant like guilty, for example, but the judge can say, "Look, the evidence thus far is not enough to prove guilt. Like the jury verdict doesn't stand." Right now, my
Right.
question for you is: during a debate, during the debates that you're talking, like you do, right, the debate tournaments,
Right.
in a situation where, let's say, somebody like appears to be very convincing and like brings up all the, like, all the people vote for them, etc. But they have like there's some like glaring issue in their argument. They have a lot of drops. They have a lot of issues
Right.
to the point where like the fundamental conclusion you just can't follow from the premises they put forward. Is there some like, I don't know, is there some arbiter that says, "Hey, I know you won the votes, but you still lose because of XYZ"?
Yeah, it's called a low point win.
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
yeah, you can like you rank the debaters on a 30-point scale. No one ever gets below 25 though, so it's really 25 to 30-point scale, and you can get more points but lose the debate. Yeah.
Okay.
It's called an ugly win sometimes.
And that's because like if there's too many drops or something.
Yeah, I mean, it might be stylistic. It might be that they just were the person who lost like gave just more beautiful speeches. But they lost on in academic debate. A lot of times you win and lose just based on technicalities, right? You're basically weighing the impacts on two different worlds, and you can win on the points, but not have won like with particularly good debate style, and so that would be called a low point win. Yeah, it's certainly.
Well, on that note, this is going to be where I end this stream here. We're not going to do any more content. We're going to start doing. I'm going to do some gaming offline now and enjoy my Friday and be degenerate for a while. So we're going to rate out.
Wait, you said offline? We get to go slur?
Yeah,
We're not offline. We're not offline.
Not yet. Not yet.
I'm
That'll-
kidding.
that'll
I'm
go straight.
kidding.
But we're going to go ahead and raid somebody. So thank
I
you all
mean,
for
you know
watching.
Gibbs, so
Thanks for
Yeah.
judging. I know it's
Yeah.
it takes time out of your day and everything. You
Yeah,
don't get
y'all
to.
did fantastic. I appreciate it. Chat.
Thank you,
everybody-
Gibbs.
Everybody go tell Bodhi that the UK belongs to the US now. Let him know that Manifest Destiny is coming. All right, guys, let him go.
That's how they sneak in and return the monarchy to America.
All right. Yeah.
Peace out, guys.
Good. All right, Lactoid, we'll have to get together and talk. What's the 29th looking like for you?
I don't know at this time what the 29th is looking like for me. That's
Yeah.
2 weeks away, right?
That's Wednesday. 2 weeks away, basically. Yeah.
By the way, as of last week, when the first semifinals bracket was done, it was an all prime tournament. There were 3 up until today. There were 3 left, and they were all prime people.
I love how a debate coach was judged by somebody who knows nothing almost about debate.
Yeah, it said facts don't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, because in a real tournament, sometimes you get professional debate.
Did I do okay as a judge,
great.
in your opinion?
Yeah, I thought you did great. You told me
Okay.
specifically what your thresholds were and what it took to meet them and who met them best, which is exactly what a judge should do. And you
Okay.
even gave me what's called a judging paradigm at the beginning, right? When you said I don't care about facts or whatever, that told us both not to lean too much on statistics and whatnot.
This is my first time judging, so if he
No,
asks me to
no,
do it
you
again,
didn't.
I just want to make sure like I was fair enough for both
The
of
most
you.
frustrating thing, like for my kids when they go to tournaments, is when the judge like votes a certain way, but then doesn't tell you why, or just says the minimum on a ballot. That's you
Yeah, that
just
is
have
annoying.
better arguments. Like that's nobody wants to hear that. They want to hear specific reasons why they won or lost, like, and yeah, I feel like you did that.
That's why after every you always go and ask the jury, hey, why'd you vote the way? Why'd you decide the way?
Oh,
the
yeah.
way you decided?
I didn't know you were allowed to do that,
Yes,
but yeah.
After the trial's over, you can go to basically it happens right after the verdict usually.
Do you ever get judges who jury members who regret their vote by the time you get to talk to them?
No, because it's immediate, right? Like they read the verdict and then while they're sitting there, we'll get up and walk over and ask them, right there in the courtroom. It's much easier than tracking them down after the fact.
Yeah, we get judges remorse all the time. Tournaments.
Yeah, I just want to say, I mean, for a first time judging a debate, I mean, it's two people who are not going to get mad at you for
That's
anything,
true.
So.
Yeah,
I was shocked you guys are so nice.
Yeah, I didn't.
Well, the prize is you get to debate Scott. So I mean, come on.
I mean, Gibbs hangs out with a lot of trolls and a lot of nerds, so I didn't know if I was getting trolls or nerds.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I gotta be honest. I like people originally when I had the first matchups, people were screaming that I had rigged it. And then I explained how I came up with the seeding, and people were like, okay, that makes more sense. And because I try to let all my biases be known, but so obviously first glance people are like, Gibbs rigged this for the Conservatives win. I'm like, hold on. First of all, Liberal Cluck called out Lactoid, which, hey, bold move to call out a lawyer on a law topic. Whatever. And you're
and also, I was voting for Lactoid, right? Even though everything he said was wrong.
Yeah, and so I was like, bold move.
Are you a lawyer, Lactoid?
Yeah.
Is that what you do?
So I was like,
cool.
I was like, that's a 1v8. He's new to the space.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just went in, and then I felt like the other two were closer in skill level, and so I kind of paired them up that way. And I was like, okay, perfect.
And you know what? If anything was rigged or biased or whatever, it would have been the chat. But that was the one that I won, so I can't say anything. Yeah.
Well, and then on top of that, I was like, now it gets down to the end. Well, okay, on the surface, it sounds like, hey, Gibbs would love to have all conservative end. No, I don't want that shit, because now I have to come up with some bullshit that's going to be super nitty gritty in the weeds that Lactoid and Fabian are going to disagree on here when they're both libertarians. Bastards.
I gave you my chat vote, Aiko.
Oh, what is that?
I did. I gave you my chat vote because I wanted you to win, but I couldn't let you.
Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. So, Lactoid, we're going to have to get together as well and figure out what you and Fabian disagree on.
Sure.
Unless y'all know something.
I mean, I know we have disagreements. I mean,
Well, yeah, they disagree on lots of stuff. Sky calls Lactoid a communist.
That's true. In fact, and so does Gibbs.
Which we proved today is true.
I was a socialist, but then he let me know about this tank.
Communism won today. I just want to say.
It makes some good memes. I mean, to be fair, I think that Fabian's also a communist.
That's true. You've said that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the right is. We're just all calling each other communists, right?
Yeah, well, hold on. Only one of us doesn't want people to get together and live in communes. That's this guy. Lactoid.
You guys both stream? Are you both streamers?
I am. I don't. I go.
I am not. That's why I expected to lose chat, because I'm the only one that doesn't have Gibbs has a fairly conservative leaning chat. Lactoid, of course, has a very conservative leaning chat. But
what do you cover, Lactoid?
My strategy was to win the judges and forget the chat.
Just mostly politics, legal discussions. Sometimes, I mostly do debates. I'm contributor to the Reverie every Monday. Aiko is often, and Gibbs too, often guest there as well. And then I do debates with Wick, and then I do. I've been a little bit slacking on this, but I used to do case reviews, going over Supreme Court cases. And
Wick's not as hard to look at these days, right? He's not that bad to look at anymore, huh?
Yeah, he got his teeth fixed.
Yeah. When he shaved his facial hair, though, I wasn't too keen on that.
Speaking of people that got their teeth fixed, Clint also got his teeth fixed today.
He did get his.
Speaking of people who look good as fuck right now, Clint.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yo, try.
That's what happens when you get on cocaine and get on steroids.
And also hang out with Barry 74, okay?
Just
you
just
don't know
heads up,
Barry.
Mel. Lactoid is live still.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm not gonna say anything. I never say anything to you, Wes, normally. But no, Clint hangs out with Barry 74 who does steroids.
Now he's
so he's getting jacked, bro, and I'm all here for it.
You know what Clint also did? On the last time he killed a deer, you know what he did? He ate the heart, unlike somebody else down here.
Yeah, I didn't do it my first year.
Yeah.
You
how do you not-
wasted.
It was
I wouldn't
unsanitary.
waste that
I-
toy.
It was sanitary, bro. We make pills.
You
for that.
fucking wasted it.
That's what did Donald Trump tell us to use to get rid of COVID?
I'm right there
When he
with
got
you,
rid of the worms
Lactoid.
after he
I'm
ate
not
the-
touching that shit, brother.
Raw heart will be 4 fucking what's the test?
Not
What's the-
even if it's cooked. I don't care. What the fuck am I eating a deer heart for? I ain't no vampire. I ain't no vegetarian vampire.
You eat the deer heart to absorb its essence, all right, before you eat the entire thing.
What is
What the
this?
fuck
Some
do I
Harry
want deer
Potter essence
for?
of a
What do I
fucking
want
deer
deer
type
essence for?
shit?
I want bear essence.
We're out
okay?
here
not
staring
deer
across the
essence.
pond
Yeah,
at
dude.
some deer aura.
Do not eat raw bear. That is like the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
No,
You
if
will
I was
not
a
be alright.
I'm talking about if I
don't
was
worry
a
about it.
vampire, okay? And we're stealing the
A
essence
bear
of
vampire?
what we of what we drink blood from. I
No,
would
no,
totally
this is
drink
from a
blood from
cave.
a bear versus a deer.
What
No,
was that
no,
cave that
no.
we
Why
did
would
when
I
we did
want
this?
deer essence? I want blood
no.
bear
It's
essence.
it's
you
a
know?
Navajo. It's a Navajo and indigenous America belief to eat the heart of the animal that you hunt and kill, like to absorb its essence.
Well, I would
or
totally.
whatnot.
Only
If I
indigenous
kill a
things I know
bear, I'm
about
gonna
are the
eat its
Aztecs and
heart.
cannibalism and the being from the Idaho.
I'm not gonna kill a bear, but if I did kill a bear, theoretically, and I was gonna use everything, I would eat its heart.
You never heard of that? Nobody has.
No.
I'm down with the Native American beliefs.
My uncle.
By the way,
To be
Mel, you
honest-
look really pretty with that hair color.
See,
My dark
Told you.
brown.
You- I'm the-
Yeah, like
I
not
feel
gonna
like I'm
lie,
pretty manly,
it does
dude.
look really pretty to
wouldn't-
see with the
I wouldn't
natural
hunt
color.
You.
There's no way you give me hunting grizzlies unless I'm doing it from
I feel like you glow more, like your actual face glows more.
Would you hunt a grizzly, Lactoid?
With a what? Hunted a grizzly? I have not.
Yeah. Would you hunt a grizzly?
Would
No.
I?
Be the helicopter.
Yeah, I know that you have to. You got to cook the shit out of bear meat though, because it's got a lot of parasites in it. Because just
Well,
He's
I'm
only
not-
gonna hunt it with a gun. I don't think hunting's right unless you're doing it with a bow and arrow.
I'm
a
talking about
bear,
hunting
you're
bad.
damn straight up using a gun for a
Bro,
bear.
I'm not even going on the ground.
Pussy
I'm doing
shit,
it.
bro. You're a
right.
fucking murderer.
I'm gonna do it in a helicopter, flying over it. And then we're gonna
You're a
eat it. We're gonna
murderer if you're
mouth that
using a
bad boy
gun,
and
bro.
stuff it.
Straight up
I'm not even-
murderer.
I don't know if
Hey,
I want to play League with you, Mel. I think you're just gonna run it down, brother.
Dude, I'm trying to learn Aurelia. It's rough.
I'm gonna tell you, even a gun ain't gonna help you in that situation. The Revenant is based on a freaking true story. That dude shot that bear, and the bear
Yeah,
still
but I'm not
took it,
trying to
grabbed it, and
damage my
immediately
new rug.
Listen, he
just
didn't shoot
mauled
with a
him.
big enough gun. Anything you shoot, if you shoot with a big enough bullet, everything goes down.
Gibbs, can I
I
ask
don't
you a
want
question,
to damage
Gibbs?
my new rug.
Gibbs, wait, but you said that when you eat, do you believe that when you eat like a deer heart or whatever, you absorb the spirit?
Fuck no. The reason why you eat it is because it's fucking letting your balls hang low. I killed
This
this.
is not a
I killed
spiritual
that.
guy.
And you just let it.
You know what? I agree with you,
Like the
Lectord. I think you
barbarians
do
of old.
absorb some of the spirit when you eat its heart.
Okay, but I can't ask you the follow-up
In
question.
my
It's weird.
bear.
Yeah, see, Mel knows what I was trying to say.
I
Mel
go
knows
to
what I was
a
trying to say.
bear while it's breathing, and I just take a knife to its side and I slice it open while it's still breathing alive.
Are you gonna jump
I'm
inside
that
of it for worms?
dangerous.
Well, this is-
I'm fierce.
So I learned this one from an old Jewish guy. So he worked for the butchery during, like I don't know, World War II, right? So clearly he was. This was years ago. He's telling me this. He's dead now. But like during the Holocaust, they're sending the Jews to the ghettos, and he was like, "Well, I worked like at a butchery. We couldn't get meat and stuff because they were like limiting what like the Jews could get." He's like, "So I would collect blood from the cattle and I'd make omelets and stuff out of it." I'm like, "Bro, that'd make great gravy." So now my whole family, we all collect the blood when we kill, like butcher the cattle, and we use it to make gravies and stuff. It's fucking good, by the way. It's real
Hey,
good.
Gibbs.
Highly recommend. 10 of 10.
Hey, Gibbs. Do you care if I start giving you the nickname a bear?
I don't care at all.
Isn't that
really,
like
about
a?
anything.
I mean, not to be that's like a gay term, isn't
Au
it?
bear, like au pair?
No, like a bear. Like I just talked about slicing a bear open while it's alive, and now I want to call him a bear.
I mean, if you want to eat me, then
If I have to
sure.
explain
He
the
wants to
joke,
slice
it's not
you open.
funny
If
anymore.
you ate Gibbs, would you
say.
absorb
No,
his
you
soul?
have to do it in Spanish. El oso.
El oso,
Yo
yeah.
quiero cortó él.
Corazón de oso.
I took French. Okay, I can't relate. Poor K.
Gibbs del oso.
Ella no sabes. Está bien, está bien.
I'll be okay with it. I don't care.
See, yo tengo Duolingo.
Hey, yo también. I'm learning Japanese on Duolingo and some other apps, but
Oh yeah,
Oh,
we were
you know,
talking about those
Chinese
other
things.
apps today.
What are those other apps that might be? Is it Red Note?
Busu.
Oh.
Most of my students are
Crunchyroll.
Chinese, so I'm trying to learn Mandarin.
Also, well, I'm actually picking up on a lot of words that I've been learning on Duolingo and Busu in anime.
Are you learning how to curse?
Donahito, no.
Mojito? Yeah, I need one of those.
Mojito.
There's no mojito.
Somebody
Oh,
give
you
me
know,
one.
Chai, I think you would have voted with me against me with more relish if I had told you that. I watch most of my anime in dubbed.
Mel would have voted for you for sure. Like, that
Oh.
would have got her vote.
I would have. If
watch
I
the dub.
and I was a judge, I would have paid Gibbs and
I watch
absorbed
all
him
of my
as the
anime
heavy
and
eliminator.
subtitles.
Fine.
I love
If you don't
subtitles
watch
so
anime
much.
subs,
I
like,
watch
you don't
everything with
appreciate the actual
subtitles.
culture it comes
hold
from,
on.
and like
It
you don't get the real feel for it. Like the
If
If
dub.
I could ask the movie
It depends on the
theater to
dub,
put subtitles on when I show up, I would.
Hold on.
Bro, I'm dead.
Depends,
I
it
need
depends on the
You need
anime.
glasses that did that.
It depends on the anime. You always
Really?
want Dragon Ball Z dub.
See, not an anime. That's where you're wrong. Not an
on,
anime.
hold on.
Doesn't count. Dragon Ball Z, not a fucking anime.
I
It's a
need someone who wants to watch
cartoon.
Naruto
Your argument is
anytime,
invalid
every day
because it
with me,
doesn't fit into the
okay? I need-
category that we are discussing.
Dragon
You
Ball
are
Z is
wrong,
the
Gibbs.
big three.
KCL. Just
Wait,
because I am a
wait.
woman, it does not mean I can't be right. You
Well,
are a
it
wrong
doesn't
man.
matter.
Accept your fate.
All right, Chai, tell me, does what about Blue Eye Samurai? It's Netflix made by Americans, but it's
Dragon Ball
set
Z
in
is the
Japan,
big three.
very
What
anime
about
style.
All right. Here's
What do
the
you
issue. Dragon Ball Z
dub.
is great, has a
I
better
want the
dub,
answer.
but the music is horrible in the English version.
What Blue Eye Samurai, is that an authentic anime?
Sure.
Phoenix is arguments out the window now. These are two bad arguments.
Sounds good to me. Dragon Ball
send
Z,
you-
no way, Jose.
I'm going to send you a link to the song from Dragon Ball Super in the original Japanese version, and I'm going to send you the version of it in the English version that they play when he goes Ultra Instinct. And I want you to tell me which one you
Look,
think is better.
The English version is iconic. The whatever bullshit.
Yeah. That's the Japanese version, but the
I
problem
think
is
anime sounds way more intense when it's subbed instead of dubbed. And if you watch
Naruto
dubbed, it's
show?
because you're lazy and you don't want to read.
It
It absolutely is, which is why if it's an anime that I think is like has a lot of artistic merit, then I'll watch it subbed. But if it's something that I'm going to multitask with and I just want noise in the background because it's like
That's
got
different.
5,000 episodes, then I'm just gonna I'm gonna leave it on dub and I'm just gonna like pay attention to other things. That's kind of what
I this is my take, right? Is there some animes where the dub is better? Like, I'll give you a couple.
Hellsing all.
Dub is better.
Yes, I will say all of them. There's a few of them. I'll give you space.
Dub is never better. It's always
I gotta
like
bounce, guys, by the way.
equal
I'll pick it
to.
back to it.
Bye.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for coming by.
Bye.
Good job.
Yeah, so I'll give you two examples where the dub is better for sure than the sub. And the Cowboy Bebop is number one. Spike,
at work and had to go do stuff. Well, my name is Zach. The woman on earlier was my wife, Kate, and the baby was our tiny
This guy's got a
Jerry.
wife and a kid. What a winner.
Yeah. I hope you're having a fantastic night. I hope you enjoyed the stream, man. You should hit the follow button because we're going to be back on tomorrow and Sunday.
Shit, I think he's
7 Central.
closing out. I was gonna rate on that too.
But for now, I have to get up. I have to go.
Oh, he's going to bed. Fuck. Fuck. It's Modi up too.
What did that mean?
Let's write on out to Modi. You guys like Modi. You guys know Modi. All right. I don't think we've ever rated out on Modi before, so we'll give him some love. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode of Like Toy TV. Really appreciate you guys. It was a fun debate. Come from behind kind of victory. A lot of fun. Aiko did great. He's a good guy, very smart guy, debate coach. So he's not a pushover. He's not some hump. He'll do good. So he did good. So we'll be going against Scott. Biggest concern with Scott, obviously, we've got to be able to maintain control, some level of control over the conversation, and just kind of see what happens. So, the person with the blue hair. I left the chat, so I don't know. Or actually, I can look right now. They are. Shit, I can't see it. They were like Chai something. Chai something. I don't think they stream, but apparently she's a regular on Gibbs's channel. So if you want to see more of her, or hear more of her, I'm sure Gibbs will have her on again. Anyway, we're gonna raid on out into Modi, and I hope you guys have a great evening. I'll catch you guys later.